stakes in the courtroom, lights shining bright, paparazzi flashing, his face lost in the fight. Bad boy living life on the lam. Now he's trapped in the spotlight. Can he take the stand? Did he do it? Did he do it? The world's on the edge like a fuse lit. Did he do it? Did he do it? Choose a runaway train and when we're glued to it. The surprise witness steps up, face cool as stone.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
Hero of the hour, unraveling his guise. The bad boy's kingdom crumbles right before our eyes. Did he do it? Did he do it?
And he often electronically recorded them.
Questions burn, we pursue it. Did he do it? Did he do it? This drama's real, there's no one do it.
The Freakoff sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics.
Revelations raining down, it's getting late. The clock ticks loud and the room holds its breath. Is a verdict justice or a march into death? Did he do it? Did he do it? The tension's tight like a noose knit. Did he do it? Did he do it? The scales tip heavy under truth grid. Balls on the edge like a fuse, yeah. Did he do it? Do it? The scales tip heavy under truth grit.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing this fine Friday? TGIF. It is a Friday the 13th for those superstitious in the chat. Let me see. I can see the chat. So far, so good. Yesterday there was some issues going on. I ended up discovering that it might have actually been a StreamYard issue. A lot of people who were using StreamYard yesterday encountered problems. So yeah, shout out to Laura Smith becoming a member. And thank you so much, Glennis Bless, for a super chat of the day. Thank you for that $9.99 super sticker. All right, so it is 9:20 a.m. on Friday, June 13th, 2025. Yesterday, finally, after a torturous 6 days, Mossad is trending. I got distracted. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Jane Doe, one of Diddy's ex-girlfriends or ex-something, depends on who you ask. She finished her testimony. Now, there was a little bit of a ruckus, I guess, going on at the court yesterday in the morning time. There was a lot of discussion back and forth over whether they were going to allow the testimony or whether they were going to allow certain identities of certain people from this party. This basically, it looks like it was probably a freak-off of another celebrity. Now, there has been a lot of speculation as to who this other celebrity could have been, this other rapper, iconic rapper. Now, people have pretty much narrowed it down to a few different possibilities. It's a couple. there's a girlfriend slash wife. The birthday's in January. They were in Vegas. I mean, it kind of narrows it down. People are speculating pretty widely that it's Kanye West and Bianca Censori, but we cannot know for sure. And it's in part because the court literally ordered that they couldn't say it. So it's like a gag order. Now, there's also speculation going around as to why Diddy and his team wanted that information in so bad. Now, Diddy said, his lawyers said yesterday in court, the reason that they wanted that information to come out was so that anybody and everybody at that party, at that Freakoff, could come forward as a witness. But the government was like, okay, I think it's pretty obvious. If anybody, if you think anybody was there, reach out to them. And it's pretty obvious, like it was a Freakoff in January in this hotel, in this day, on these 2 days, like they can come forward if they're following this case. They're going to know. But there's other speculation that the reason Diddy's lawyers really want this rapper's identity to come in is because, and this is all speculation. Everything's done behind these super secret closed doors. So how do I know? Everything's so sealed, and they were going inside the judge's actual like chambers, like his robing room. And so who really knows what's going on? But some people are speculating that Kanye West wants to go in there. Oh, he's changing his name to Ye Ye. First name Ye, last name Ye. That's what he's changing it to now. And a lot of people change their names. I really do think it is because they sign away their names and then they have to change their names to make music and stuff. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if it is Kanye. I don't know if it is. I certainly wasn't there. All that. Thanks so much to Michelle Nana for the $20 super chat. You're doing God's work and are incredibly appreciated. Also, I have Iko stuck in my head for a week. Good. It's a good song. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, Vegas is asking, did Kanye and Bianca actually try to go to court yesterday? Was that real? Girl, I don't know. It seems like maybe just Kanye tried to go. Then it seemed like maybe he didn't. Maybe that's fake news. There's really no like official video confirmation that I've seen. So yeah. Tiff, it's a good question. I don't know if they don't like each other or they do like each other, because it seems like they go back and forth on whether they're rivals or whether they're, in it together. So I really do not know. Those were just rumors, Dazzler said. Again, exactly. Yeah, Black Blonde, that's not necessarily true. That's a rumor. There's rumors in the chat that Kanye's going to testify. However, would I be surprised if he does? Actually, yes, a little bit, because who knows what he's going to say on the stand. I would be kind of surprised. Allegedly, he was in a Sprinter van, but who knows? Exactly. So if you see anybody, shout out to Mimi in the chat. Hey, nieces, nephews, cousins, boys, girls, cats, dogs. Yes, indeed. Mimi is here. Yeah. So if y'all see in the chat people saying it as if it's some type of fact, feel free to correct them in a nice way. Thanks so much, Constance Stills Brown, for the $10 super chat. Right. Is he a credible witness? Is he a viable witness? You don't know what he's going to say. There is a victim that has a story that has both alleged victim, I should say, alleged victim, who does allege, that there's a crossover there. I've read so many at this point lawsuits. It's just truly all a blur to me at this point. So let's start to talk a little bit about what's actually going to be going on today in court. For sure, is we're going to have testimony from yet another assistant of Diddy's. Now, is a former assistant, current assistant? When did he stop being an assistant? I'm not really sure, but his name, let me go to the Diddy docket, actually. His name's Jonathan Perez. Brittany said, are these defense witnesses now? No, this is still government witnesses. So this is still the witnesses who are being called by the prosecutors, by the feds. They're still making their case. They said they plan to rest their case in the next few days. They're going to rest the case probably by Wednesday. Then there's Juneteenth on Thursday, so there's no court. And then there's only like a half day. There's only like a half day on Friday. So Maureen Comey said they're going to rest their case on Wednesday, no court Thursday. If they don't manage to finish Wednesday, then they'll finish it on Friday. That's what she said. So this is allegedly him. I mean, I didn't do a blood test or anything, but this is on the Diddy docket, diddydocket.com. And it is a part of this page right here where you can see all the different witnesses. So far, Israel Flores, Daniel Phillip, Cassie Ventura, Yassine Binda, Don Richard, Carrie Morgan, David James, Regina Ventura, Sheree Hayes, aka The Punisher, Gerard Gannon, Don Hughes, George Kaplan. So here, these two right here. David James is a former assistant. George Kaplan is a former assistant. Then you got Scott Muscati, Mila Morales, Frederick Zamore, Josh Croft, Capricorn Clark, Christopher Ignacio, Lance Jimenez, Deontay Nash, and then another assistant, Mia, who went by a pseudonym, Sylvia Oken from the hotel, the Beverly Hills Hotel, Eddie Garcia, Derek Ferguson, Frank Piazza, Brianna/Bana Bongolan, Enrique Santos, Jane Doe, who was on the stand for like 6 days. And then this guy right here, Jonathan Perez. So it says he was Diddy's assistant employed by Combs Global from 2021 to 2024. It really doesn't say anything else about him on here, but this is allegedly, according to Diddy Docket, who it is, what he looks like. Now, we also know that the next witness to be called up here is going to be Ananya Sankar, and she is a paralegal specialist at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. That's what the region is, SDNY. And she is the one, she's like the RICO witness. She's the one who's going to look at these summary charts and who's going to explain, look, listen, you've heard all these facts, you've heard all this testimony, you're going to hear other testimony from, when Diddy, this is only half the lawsuit so far. Half of the criminal case so far is just the prosecutor's case. But the defense, meaning Diddy, has a chance to make his case too. He hasn't even brought his witnesses up yet. And these are still government witnesses. Shout out to the mods in the chat. Shout out to Diamond Rainbow, Simply Monica, Birmingham Leprechaun, Oklahoma Outlaw. Their links are in the chat, in the description box down below. Now, there's 2 other witnesses. I don't know if they're going to call these witnesses or not. And there may be witnesses that we haven't heard yet, maybe surprise witnesses, and things. Those shoes are cute. Look at those. They're like little ballet shoes and how they have them pointing like that. Anyway, okay. Let's go to Inner City Press. And let's just start reading the thread for the day. I did get his first book. Let me show y'all. It's on Amazon. I didn't read it yet, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But there's only this one on Amazon because I think they started like suppressing it. So now he has ebooks. But I like a paper book. Shout out to Amber in the chat. Okay. 34 minutes ago, before the jury came in, Diddy's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, says, Your Honor, the government's proposed witness for today does not know how the pews were moved and piled in the security room. He has no personal knowledge. We need him excluded. What the hell? The judge said he's not an expert witness. He's a fact witness, Mark. What are you talking about? Did you go to law school? Did you go the first year? Then the assistant U.S. attorney comes in and says, yeah, what? When he was at the premises, the pews were found in the security room. Mark Agnifilo, if he's so worried about it, he can cross-examine on the issue. There's nothing prejudicial. The judge said it's not about prejudice, though. Agnifilo is going to object to every single statement. That's the issue. He said, I don't want the jurors to see me objecting every time to guns. There's nothing illegal about these pew-pews. Diddy has professional security. Pew-pews were in the safe. This witness is prejudicial. I don't care that they don't know where the Astroglide was. But these are pew-pew. Let them put on the agent who actually found the pew-pews. This witness should not testify. So it sounds like Mark Agnifilo isn't only just objecting to testimony about pew-pews. He's objecting to testimony about anything. The assistant U.S. attorney said, this is how every law enforcement search is done. The property is secured. The property is secured before the search begins. They can ask on cross-examination. Judge said, Mr. Agnifilo, the judge says, would the defense, would y'all stipulate that there was guns at Diddy's house? Would you at least stipulate to that? Okay. So it's, again, difficult to know exactly what they're arguing about because we don't have any context beyond just what this says here. But Agnifilo seems to be saying this witness should not testify at all, which means no one would testify today because I don't think they're having the other lady come up until Monday. He's like, I don't want the jurors to see me objecting to every single thing. There's nothing illegal about these pew-pews. Diddy has a professional security team. These pew-pews were properly stored in a safe. And so for that reason, it should just, this testimony from this witness should not be given. But I think, like, if Mark Agnifilo is saying what I think he appears to be saying, he's saying he doesn't want this witness to talk about anything at all. And that's kind of like, makes him look like he's making a bad faith argument, in my opinion. This witness should not testify. This is how every law enforcement search is done. The property is secured. This is the assistant U.S. attorney. She says, this is how every single law enforcement search is done, Your Honor. The property is secured before the search begins. Agnifilo is more than welcome to ask about this on cross-examination. That's how court works. The judge says, okay, Mark Agnifilo looks over to Diddy's lawyer. Would you stipulate that these pew-pews were actually there, right? You would stipulate, yep, that they found that there on the scene. Are you trying to say that wasn't found there? Agnifilo says, well, Your Honor, you're asking me this for the first time. I know the property well. I've been there many times. The security room is always locked. The judge said, okay, can we find the person who did this? I don't know what who did this means. And then Maureen Comey, thinking she's going to take a break this morning. She's not. She's not. Look, somebody else was talking. It just says a USA. And then the judge is like, okay, so can we find who did this or what? Then Comey's like, may I step up? Let me just do it. This is how Homeland Security Investigations does its searches. They have a team that goes in to make the area safe. They are not experts in collecting evidence. Miss Foster, that's the assistant U.S. attorney who's going to be doing the questioning, can ask about that. I expect the witness is going to say it was made safe. Diddy's lawyer goes, no, I'm not seeing how the pew-pew are relevant. If they were locked up, pew-pews are a very divisive issue, Your Honor. The judge said, okay, that's cute, Agnifilo. No, the witness can be asked about all of this. So not only can he testify, but he can be asked about these issues. That's how we're going to proceed. Agnifilo goes, whoa, hold on. I had no idea this witness had no idea how the pew-pews were found, Your Honor. Agnifilo is like, this is new news to me. I had no idea about this. Like, I would have objected to this long ago. He said, I want to know where the pew-pews were found. I don't want to play Russian roulette with guns. That is how Russian roulette is played, by the way. And then Inner City Press goes, rim shot. He's funny. The judge said, okay, well, the agent can also testify. But as to the juror, ooh, okay. All right. So let's separate issues here. First, they're talking about this witness. Can he testify today? We talking about Jonathan Perez. The judge says yes. Hold on. I'm not feeling this. Sorry. I get distracted by my own face. Cue narcissus, okay? Anyway, somebody was like, you should check yourself for narcissistic personality disorder or something else. You seem to display all of the signs. I was like, oh my God, you seem to be confusing me with that whenever actually I'm God's favorite. Chill out. Anyway, okay, so the first issue is this witness testifying today at all. Then the second or like sub issue of that first issue is this witness testifying about pews. So Agnifalo's like, Your Honor, he doesn't even know where the pews were found. And the judge is like, okay, so then they can ask that and he can say that. I don't understand why it has to be, he can't testify. Then whenever you're ready to do your cross-examination, then you can ask him, what he knows. Like, just relax, dude. Okay, so the next issue is the juror. The judge said, rewinding. On the first issue, the judge said it can be asked about, and Mark Agnifalo needs to chill out. Okay, so the second issue is this juror. Judge says, now as to juror 6, why can't we just bring him in and get to the bottom of what the parties have raised? Matthew Russell Lee from Inner City Press says, in submissions, they have not put in the docket despite an order. Okay, so I wanted to read through and see where they were going with this. So this juror, Agnifalo said, this juror is not a professional speaker. These were honest answers. I am hesitant to raise this issue again and lead this juror, this is Diddy's lawyer saying this, to think we think he said something wrong. This juror's answers are innocuous. We were concerned about his residency. Agnifalo continues, residency issue was resolved, Your Honor. This jury is diligent. Let's treat them with respect. The judge said, well, there is no issue with the qualification to serve. This juror did meet the qualifications at the time. It was vague enough that the answers can be reconciled. But the assistant U.S. So the judge seems to be kind of like siding with Mark Agnifalo. But the assistant U.S. attorney is like, no, Your Honor. This juror has said multiple things and they cannot all be reconciled with the truth. They cannot all be true. Additional steps should be taken to protect the record. The judge said, my preference would be to run it to the ground, meaning go all the way in and get to the bottom of it and hear from this juror. The judge is saying this. I want to hear from the juror. I expect we will hear a perfectly reasonable explanation, the judge said. This piece of hair is aggravating that out of me. So the judge is like, let's just ask him and get it over with so I can stop talking about this crap. Judge said, hold on, but let me say, the allegation in court, the judge is putting it on the record because he knows it's all going to be going to appeal. Judge said, let me say this, though. The allegation in court that the prosecutors are engaging in some type of racial bias, there is no bias for that statement. Not in jury selection, nor what occurred in the robing room. It is understandable that they would raise this issue to the court, and y'all are out of line trying to act like it's racism. Now, maybe I'm not going to kick the juror off, but it's also not racist. So let me just clear that up for the appeal. Now, here comes the appeal lawyer in chief, Alexandra Shapiro. She says, Your Honor, we're concerned. If we bring the juror back in for questioning, it might impact behavior during deliberations. So Alexandra Shapiro, Diddy's lawyer, the one who Mims proposes, and I think he's probably right, is here for Alexandra Shapiro is here to work on a real-time appeal. Like in real time, she's working on an appeal. And she's putting stuff on the record, likely for an appeal. And she says, Your Honor, we're concerned if we bring this juror back in, that when they go back into deliberations, the juror is going to be, this is so aggravating. I just need to get a haircut. If we bring this juror back in for questioning, it might impact behavior during deliberations, like when they're back there deliberating, deciding if my client is guilty or not. The judge said, fine, we don't have to get into this right now. Mr. Combs, and he looks at Diddy and says, are you waiving this issue so that we can move on for the rest of the day? And Diddy nods yes. The question was, where do you live? Okay, so we're finally getting some insight into the juror issue. The judge says, the question at issue on the questionnaire was, where do you live? An answer saying Bronx was accurate. One might move, but it wouldn't raise to the level of removal of a juror. So he was saying at one time he lived in the Bronx and now he lived somewhere else and now he lives somewhere else. Maybe he moved. And the judge is like, people can move. That doesn't mean he lied. Okay. So the judge is ready to just move on and not deal with the issue right now, even though he kind of was trying to deal with the issue right now. He was like, my preference would be to run it to the ground and hear from this juror. But Diddy's team is saying, no, that would be not fair because it might affect how the jurors are talking to each other in the deliberation room. And the judge is like, okay. He's like, also, just let me get it on the record. The judge is like, I don't think anything about this is racism. The government had every right to bring this issue up. And I think we need to get to the bottom of it. Diddy's attorneys are like, no, we can't bring this juror out because it's going to create an unfair trial for Diddy. And, it's going to affect deliberations. The judge is like, all right, well, fine. I mean, even though it is my preference to get to the bottom of this today, as long as Diddy is waiving the issue for the time being, we can just deal with it later. And Diddy just, waives the issue. But then the assistant U.S. attorney is like, no, we want to get to the bottom of the issue today, right now. We have at least one question. Does the juror's employer have a residency requirement? That might explain the answer. Diddy's lawyer said, no, asking him if his attorney has if his boss has a residency requirement would be harassing. After Diddy's lawyers have asked every one of these people if they've ever been assaulted, if they ever knew anybody ever been assaulted, where do you live, what's your name, where you came from, all of that. But simply asking, it's an issue with residency. I don't think the guy lives in New York. I don't think he lives in the proper jurisdiction to be on this jury. However, I don't know. Again, I don't have any more information than y'all do. I'm just reading this thread. I'm trying my best to piece it together. It's all been being done under secret until right now. Now we're just getting little trickles. But the prosecutor said, given where we are right now, Your Honor, it is our position, the government's position, we should get to the bottom of this issue. We have at least one question, like, for example, does this juror, does his boss have a residency requirement? That might explain his answer. Diddy's lawyer said that's harassment. You can't ask about that. The assistant U.S. attorney said, I don't understand. The feds are like, honestly, Your Honor, we don't really get it. Why is the defense so adverse to asking this question? I wasn't present when this juror was questioned in the robing room. So they already asked this juror questions in the robing room is something that we're being told here. The juror was asked questions in the robing room by the judge. And the prosecutor said, I wasn't even in there when you did that. The judge said, okay, well, if we do question him, let's save it till the end of the day. I don't want to end up with another situation like yesterday where it was 2 hours before we started and they just all sitting back there. Okay, and then there's apparently new questions. The witness is going to be faced with new questions, and the assistant U.S. attorney said, so look, the judge is like, all right, if we do question this juror, let's save it for the end of the day. For the time being, let's bring in that jury, including that juror, and then the witness. Let's bring in the witness afterward, which is Jonathan Perez, I think his last name. But then the assistant U.S. attorney is like, okay, wait, hold on. The other Foster, the one doing the questioning, I guess, is telling the witness, which is Diddy's former assistant, about some new questions. What are the new questions? I don't know. They should just address it now because they're already, they should have just addressed the juror thing now. Okay, so let's go to CNN and see what they've been. Oh, they did teeny dirty. They did teeny dirty with that picture. Oh, okay. So there's two people going to take the stand. Jonathan Perez and a special agent, okay? A special agent is going to take the stand. Prosecutors plan to call a special agent as their next witness. The judge said yesterday he needs some time to decide whether the prosecution can show jurors a text message from 2015 that Diddy's security guard sent him. The text recounts a violent incident between Diddy and Gina that the security guard says would get him arrested, even if she begged the police not to do it. Okay, so y'all, there's a lot of evidence that is up at issue right now and being argued about over whether it can be used in court, whether it can be shown to the jury, whether it needs to be redacted, whether it, et cetera, et cetera. A lot. And a lot of it is text messages, voice notes, emails, communications between people, group chats, stuff like that. So we're hearing about yet another one right here. The text recounts a violent incident. It's a 2015. Gina been around for a while. It's a 2015 text. Diddy sent to a security guard. Okay, so it's a text between Diddy and a security guard. He sent it that the security guard says. Okay, the security guard says the violent incident would get him arrested even if Gina begged the police not to do it. So it's something about a violent event between Gina and Diddy, and it's a text message between Diddy and security guard. Now, the prosecutor confirmed Gina is identified as the third victim in the indictment tied to alleged violent acts. Christy Slavic also said there are records putting Diddy, Gina, and the security guard in Atlanta at the time. That corroborates the messages. But Diddy's attorney, Jason Driscoll, is like, absolutely not. You're trying to get two bites of the apple because Gina isn't going to testify and we can't even cross-examine her. An hour ago, the judge was on the bench. 32 minutes ago, lawyers argue about testimony of the next witness. Defense attorneys and prosecutors are arguing about the testimony of the next expected witness. Now, the next witness is not Jonathan Perez. I was mistaken. It's a special agent involved in the search of Diddy's LA home. The agent is expected to testify about the pew-pews. Okay, so that's where the confusion was coming in. Let me change my banner. And, special agent, I don't know what his name or her name is, special agent involved in Miami mansion raid will testify about pew pew. Later, former assistant Jonathan Perez. Okay, so we're going to get a special agent. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. The agent is expected to testify about the pew-pews recovered from the home's security room. But Mark Agnifilo, Diddy's lawyer, argued that one of the agents who initially recovered the pew-pews, that's the person who should testify about exactly where they were found, rather than some agent who just dealt with them later during the search process. Maureen Comey said, no, this isn't even possible. We can't even establish which agent could testify about that because the team of agents who cleared the sprawling property are not tasked with cataloging evidence, so they don't keep track of who cleared what before the search team took over. Then Diddy's lawyer said, no. I want the jury to hear that the pew-pews were responsibly maintained by a professional security service behind a locked door. The judge said that the agent can testify about the pew-pews and the defense can cross-examine him. Now, the judge 6 minutes ago is considering whether to question a juror further following prosecutors' request to dismiss. The judge has turned to the issue of prosecutors' previous request to dismiss one of the jurors, juror number 6, after they found out there appeared to be a lack of candor with the court. The judge said there was a question of the juror's residence and confirmed they've established that he met qualifications to be in the jury pool. He lived in the jurisdiction at the time of jury selection. The juror moved out of the Bronx in the last 2 weeks, the judge said. The judge said this only came up because of a friendly banter the juror had with jury staff members who informed the court out of caution. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo said it no longer seems to be an issue. The juror has been part of the diligent panel that's been engaged and cooperative throughout the trial. The judge also pushed back on a previous accusation from Diddy's lawyers that this was a thinly veiled effort to dismiss a black juror. He said there has been no evidence and no showing of any kind of any biased conduct from the prosecution in regard to that jury. He actually said of any kind, of any biased conduct. Then U.S. Attorney Mitzi Steiner said the juror has said multiple things that cannot all be true. She said, quote, the most prudent thing to do would be to get to the bottom of the issue through additional questions. Defense attorney, Diddy's lawyer, Alexandra Shapiro, said further inquiry would be harassment. This juror is going to feel singled out and picked on if he's subject to individual questioning again. This means he was already questioned once before. Alexandra Shapiro, Diddy's lawyer, said the defense waives the issue on appeal. And Diddy confirmed that he waived the issue. So the judge is like, okay, as long as Diddy isn't going to say, oh, I need an appeal because this juror wasn't fair. And Diddy's like, oh yeah, no, I like this juror. I'm not going to appeal on this, Your Honor. At first, the judge said he wanted to hear more from that juror because he thought there would be a perfectly innocent explanation. But he said he would think about it further. He said if he opts to question the juror further, he's going to do it at the end of the day after the panel has been dismissed. So after the rest of the jury has been dismissed, they're just going to hold back juror number 6. When Alexandra Shapiro suggested to the judge that he should ask Diddy if he wanted to waive the issue, Diddy waved his arm and said, waiving, Your Honor. The judge at first said he wanted to hear more from the juror. He's thinking, okay, Diddy's mother is so far the only one of his relatives in court today. He said hello to her and blew her a kiss. We have some updates from the Washington Post. Look at Agnifilo. Girl, he been eating, huh? He's known for his blue tie. He's consistently worn blue, not just throughout the trial, but for years. Sometimes he totes what may be a more revealing accessory. a messenger bag from Strand Books, a century-old independent bookstore that is something of an institution in New York City. It's a very simple and understated accessory for a high-powered attorney who's represented Pharma Bro Martin Shkreli and French politician Dominique Strauss-Kahn. 57 minutes ago, court is now in session with the jury not yet seated. The courtroom appears relatively empty as the lawyers go over today's upcoming testimony. From Lamont, from Homeland Security Special Agent Andre Lamont. I wonder if that was like, Mon. That's world, right? Or is it do? Lamont. Andre Lamont, he's a special agent. The judge also expected to weigh in on a dispute over a juror who was not forthcoming during his selection process. Thinly veiled effort to dismiss a black juror. Okay. 33 minutes ago, the defense is vociferously objecting to Homeland Security Agent Andre Lamont's expected testimony, which would include showing the jury pew-pews found in Diddy's security office during a search of his home. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo said doing this, showing these pictures, runs the risk of being unduly prejudicial because Lamont was not present when the pew-pews were initially located. The prosecution said Agnifilo needs to relax because this is not unusual. In Homeland Security searches, this is how it works. A specialized team first runs through and makes sure there's no serious threats. They sweep the premises. They make sure it's safe. They secure any pew-pews that they find. And then a search team, which Lamont would have been a part of, then goes in and inspects the evidence. 21 minutes ago, we got an update on that. A Homeland Security agent will be allowed to testify about pew-pews found in one of Diddy's mansions, the judge ruled. But the prosecution has to address the defense team's concerns by clarifying their questioning. So the judge usually does do a little meet in the middle thing whenever there's a serious disagreement. He said the prosecutors do have to address the defense team's concerns by clarifying their questioning, that there was no sign of impropriety in how the guns were kept. I want to know exactly where the pew-pews were, defense attorney Mark Agnifilo said. I don't want to start playing Russian roulette with pew-pews, which is the way you play Russian roulette. 8 minutes ago, Ann Brannigan, Washington Post, it appears that the issue with one of the jurors, a 41-year-old corrections officer from the Bronx, the issue is rooted in conflicting remarks about his place of residence. The judge said that his preference would be to talk to the juror and resolve any inconsistencies. I think that it is likely that what we will hear will be a perfectly innocent explanation, the judge said. But Diddy's lawyer, Alexandra Shapiro, making $2,000 an hour or whatever, pushed back. She said she didn't believe the issue was that serious and that questioning the juror would lead him to feeling singled out and picked on. Quote, "This is really harassing this juror," she added. But she didn't care about the harassing that Jane Doe faced on the stand the last 6 days or 4 or whatever it was. Anyway, the judge said he would think more on the issue. And if he thinks more questions are appropriate, it'll be done after testimony. Okay. We're back. Here we go. Let's do our jury entering 9:46 a.m. So 46 minutes late. All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Aaron Subramanian presiding in the United States of America versus Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs, Southern District of New York. Jurors, the judge said. As you can see, we're only 50 minutes late today. So we're doing better. All right. Then, oh my gosh, y'all. Robin pays her rent, y'all. We got Robin Greenhill bright and early. They spelling it wrong. Hold on. Can't believe it's like maybe going to happen, y'all. Okay. So the jury comes in. The assistant U.S. attorney said, okay, this is Comey. Your Honor, before we get started today, we want to introduce the following exhibits. These are all under seal. Exhibit E331, BR-C-FR-HR, etc., all under Your Honor's pseudonym order. And before the witness comes in, this is the special agent, we want to introduce these text messages involving Christina Karam. Let me read them. Now, the jury's in here, but the witness isn't in here yet. Puff, music phone 2. Make sure Robin pays her rent. KK, response. Robin said her rent was paid. In the vicinity of the Newark airport, cell phone from Damian Butler. Who's Damian Butler? That sounds familiar. Also, this message. 3 of my doors are broken. This is crazy. D-Rock said he's coming to the house. He just texted me. I don't think it's a good idea to leave your place. That's not going to make it better. Response for the Jane. He has my key. I don't feel safe. The key has a blue fuzzy tail. Just take it. D-Rock said, I'm at the house. Puff is here. You know I can't take your keys from him. Okay, thank you. The government may now call its witness. The government calls Special Agent Andre Lamont. I don't know what they read this in for, but Robin was mentioned. It's text messages with D-Rock, Robin, KK, and Diddy. Make sure Robin pays her rent. And KK's like, Robin said the rent is paid. So those have been read into evidence. All right. First question of the day for the special agent. Where do you work? He said, I work in Homeland Security Investigations in Los Angeles in the Human Trafficking Unit. Did you execute search warrants? Or do you, do you? Like as part of your job, do you execute search warrants? The agent said, yep, I've done 50 or 60 search warrants so far. Finally, we're getting into what they found. Y'all, it's like some of the most important evidence of all is what they found at the California residence, the Mapleton Drive. This is the same neighborhood where Brittany was held against her will at Bridges to Recovery. I mean, she said it was torture. She said it was S trafficking in the same neighborhood as where this South Mapleton Drive is. Might even be on that street. So he was there. So we've already heard from agents that did the Miami raids. We've heard from an agent that did the or that was involved in the raid of the search of the hotel room in New York in September when Diddy was actually arrested. But we have not heard from what they found at South Mapleton, which is the California residence. I'm like, what's taking them so long? Okay. Did you search 200 South Mapleton Drive, LA? He said, well, kind of. Homeland Security Investigations New York and LA were both involved, so we executed the search warrant together. Okay, here's an exhibit. Please publish it. So the exhibit goes up. What is this? 200 South Mapleton Drive. And what are these other buildings? Sauna, recording studio. What rooms of this house and this residence were searched? The agent said all of them. All rooms were searched. I'm going to look up 200 South Mapleton. So this is the house we're talking about. There's 12 photos of it on Zillow. This is the backyard. Wait, let me make sure that's actually what it is, because I just typed it in and no, hold on. 200 South Mapleton. Now, it used to be worth $48 million. Now they're trying to say it's worth $61 million. Your guess is as good as mine. It definitely looks like, what is this? This is the ugliest ass thing I ever saw. It's like true objectification. There's no head. There's no arms to do anything. There's no legs and feet to walk anywhere. It's just like reproductive. Anyway, it's beautiful. I will say it's given like, that colonial, like Federalist, like White House kind of looking type of style. All right, so that's the house we're talking about. It's all just 12 photos. Let's see if we can get into the street view. Interesting. All right, so this is what we're talking about. Imagine all the Astroglide that's gone out in those trash. And let me stop. I guess this is the driveway to go in. They blurred it out. Anyway, so that's the house they talking about today. Right now, rather. I was wondering why on earth they would be asking this random assistant about how they found pew-pews, but it's because this is not the assistant. This is a federal agent testifying about the search of Diddy's property. Okay, 2 minutes ago, CNN.com said special agent who helped search Diddy's home is called to the stand. Meredith Foster is questioning him. This guy, Lamont, was part of the team that searched Diddy's LA home. We have a new update from Washington Post 7 minutes ago. And it's about that juror. But let's read it in case there's more information on it that we didn't already get. The judge pushed back strongly on Diddy's team's suggestion that the prosecutors were waging a thinly veiled effort to dismiss a black juror. The judge said there's nothing here to suggest any bias reason of any kind. He added that there was a facial inconsistency in the juror's answers to questions about where he lived, and it was absolutely fair and understandable that the government would raise that to the court. As the defense itself notes, this was an unusually diverse group of jurors that came in. We have a diverse jury, regardless of what happens with this current application. Diddy is in court today wearing light pants and a brown sweater. The judge 42 minutes ago wanted to settle that juror issue. U.S. District Judge Aaron Subramanian said he wants to settle the government's objections to one of the jurors, though there doesn't appear to be enough evidence yet to remove him. The judge revealed the issue could be about where the juror lives. The government earlier this week said the panelist should be removed over lack of candor. My preference would be to hear from this juror, and it's likely we'll hear a perfectly innocent explanation, the judge said, adding that he wants to resolve this issue quickly and put it to bed because he's tired of dealing with it. But then 33 minutes ago, Agnifilo wanted to limit testimony about pew-pew. He said they're going to object to every question about pew-pews found during the raids. Agnifilo called the firearms a divisive issue. He would rather not have that in the minds of the jury. I'm not seeing how these pew-pews in a security room are relevant to any of the charges in this case. What? Mark Agnifilo tries to play stupid sometimes, y'all. One of the racketeering charges is that he had those pew-pews in his house with the numbers sawed off. Government calls its first witness 9 minutes ago. Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Andre Lamont, presumably to discuss details of Diddy's arrest last year. Diddy wore light-colored pants and a brown long-sleeved sweater to court this morning. Okay. What rooms were searched? All of them. The special agent said, it is a large property. I went through the objects that we seized, and then I entered them into our case management system. We moved to enter into evidence these exhibits, Your Honor. Agnifilo objects. Now they have a sidebar. Jesus Christ. Where's the Can We Move On song? Agnifilo is irritating. Very irritating. Actually, we have some really cool, very different updates from the Independent. I want to read these. All right. An hour ago, and they're on a sidebar right now, so we might as well do it. Mystery rapper takes center stage as Jane concludes marathon testimony and hugs attorneys. Diddy's ex-girlfriend Jane testified on Thursday after spending several days on the stand being cross-examined and describing her 3-year relationship with a music mogul. The day got off to a rocky start, with testimony delayed nearly 2 hours as prosecutors, Diddy's attorneys, and Jane's attorney had private conversations with the judge. After Jane took the stand, she described how she felt during her hotel nights with Diddy, which involved her having relations with men other than Diddy, while Diddy watched. Hold on. Jane testified she went on a trip to Las Vegas in 2024 with an unnamed rapper for a birthday celebration, and they flew on the rapper's private jet. Now, this is one of the things that people are saying it can't be Kanye because he don't have a private jet. Again, we can't know who it is. I think it's kind of like silly to even really try to speculate, but this isn't the same thing as like Jane Doe, who like there's a judge's order to protect her anonymity because she needs to be protected from things and stuff. This is just kind of like, okay, it's irrelevant. Like we don't need to be bringing in all these different names. It's different than like the anonymity order on Jane. In my opinion, that's what it seems like to me. Jane testified she went on a trip 2024 to Vegas, flew on the rapper's private jet. Diddy, allegedly, was not aware of the trip because Jane and he were on a break. The rapper, the mystery rapper, was close with Diddy, Jane added. Antoine, an S worker who had done previous hotel nights with Jane and Diddy, was at that birthday dinner for the rapper's wife or girlfriend. Later, Antoine had relations with another woman while several people watched. Diddy went on to accuse Jane of attending another man's freak-off, and Jane told prosecutors she wishes she could forget hotel nights. I felt like a garden tool. I'm not a trained actress, she said. After a 24-hour hotel night in Turks and Caicos, Jane texted an entertainer named Paul and told him Diddy didn't make her feel like a human being. When the questions finally concluded, Jane hugged the prosecutor, Maureen Comey, and then she hugged Teeny Garagos. And at first I was like, that is so awkward and weird. Like, that is strange. Why would she do that? But I really thought about it last night, and I think it was actually so smart. It was such a boss move if you really think about it. Because, like, on the one hand, it shows that she's able to, like, hug someone who really tried to, in my opinion, really tried to hurt her and humiliate her and break her. And it didn't work. And it's like, oh, I can hug you, girl. It ain't nothing to me. But also, I was watching Mims, and he said that whenever Jane walked over there to hug this when Jane walked over there to hug this lawyer, Teeny Garagos, that Teeny was like just sitting there, and she was like visibly, she did not want to be hugging Jane. And it was like, you know what, with that context, what a boss move. Because Jane had sat there for 3 days enduring questions like, could you have stood up and walked away? Could you have driven out the front door? Did you have to go back? Why didn't you say no? Why didn't you express your discomfort? Why didn't you, right? She's getting asked all these questions, and it's like, all right, Teeny, if you were so uncomfortable, clearly she was, and, didn't want to do this hug, why didn't you say no, Teeny? Why didn't you say, don't touch me? Why didn't you get up and run away? Well, the answer is obvious, because that would have not been the appropriate social response to have. And it's like, social conditioning. If Teeny would have got up and ran away and created a big scene, it would have been weird. It was also weird that, Jane Doe hugged her. However, I think even if she didn't do that on purpose, it really demonstrates not only to Teeny, but also the jury. Anybody can be in a situation where something's happening to them that they don't necessarily want. And there are reasons why, some valid, some not, as to why you don't say anything. I don't know if that's what she was doing on purpose. I have no idea. But like with that context of knowing that like Teeny, the person who really tried to hurt Jane in the cross-examination, in my opinion. Didn't get to her. Or maybe she did, but not enough to, make her not want to hug her or whatever. Okay. An hour ago, Diddy's lawyers were complaining about trial secrecy as a famous rapper goes unnamed. One of Diddy's lawyers protested the rising tide of secrecy. And I'm with Diddy's lawyers on at least this one thing, y'all. I got to tell you. There's a lot of secrecy going on. After both It's true. I mean, I got to agree. I have got to agree with Mark Agnifilo. I'm unfortunately sorry. I just got to on this one issue. Yesterday, both Diddy and the public, so like the person on trial and the public, two people with the biggest rights in this case, is Diddy first and then the public second. That's who has the biggest rights in this case. Also, the witnesses have rights in the case. The victim witnesses have rights in the case to confront their abuser and stuff. Well, Agnifilo's like, dude, listen, Your Honor, with all due respect, yesterday there was hours of meetings that my client, the person on trial, wasn't present for. So that's an issue. Also, there's a rising tide of secrecy going on for the public in this trial as well. Agnifilo complained to the judge after Diddy was left out of an hour-long meeting in a private room outside the court, where lawyers and the judge discussed a hotel room event in January 2024. That meeting added a 2-hour delay to the start of the 6th and final day of Jane's testimony. An hour ago, judge to weigh showing jurors text messages recounting a violent clash between Diddy and Gina. Now, this text goes all the way back to 2015. So that shows that Gina's been in the picture for at least 10 years. The prosecution is expected to call, or they did call, a special agent as its next witness today, and then Diddy's former assistant, Jonathan Perez, then the government's first summary witness. That will come after the judge weighs whether to show the jury a text message discussing a violent clash between Diddy and Gina, another ex-girlfriend. The message in question dates from 2015 and was sent between Diddy and an Atlanta security guard, I think it's D-Rock, who reportedly advised the rapper that the incident in question would get him arrested, even if she begged police not to. Now, Gina isn't expected to testify at the trial. And this led one of Diddy's lawyers, Jason Driscoll, to accuse the prosecutors of trying to get two bites at the apple by bringing the matter up. After the court adjourned yesterday, the judge allowed the government to admit 49. Oh, they left Robin out. They left Robin out on the independent.com. I'm going to tweet them. I'm going to tweet them for a correction right freaking now. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. Hey, at Independent. Just FYI, this particular this 49-page text exchange also included Diddy accountant Robin. I'll show you what I'm writing. Greenhill of TriStar Sports and Entertain. Per in-court reporting by Inner City Press. Play with me. Play with me. Where were we? Okay. After court adjourned yesterday, the judge allowed in by the government 49 pages. I can't wait to read this. Robin, TikTok. Diddy Demon's getting my throat chakra. This is so good. Okay. After court yesterday, after it was adjourned, but then they stayed around to talk about stuff, the judge allowed in by the government to put it in 49 pages of group text messages between Diddy, his chief of staff, Christina Karam, the security officer, D Rock, and also Robin Greenhill. Independent left it out. Maybe they'll update it. But these are all text messages about Diddy asking for cash and approving transactions that correspond with hotel nights and substance payments. The judge already let it in. It's coming in. It came in already. It's in. These texts, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to support the means and methods part of the racketeering charge. So does that mean all these people are co-conspirators? Diddy, KK, D-Rock, and Robin Greenhill. Is Robin Greenhill a co-conspirator? Put a CC in the chat for co-conspirator if you believe Robin Greenhill at least deserves to be one. I mean, I don't know. Innocent until proven guilty, girl. Anyway, Robin Greenhill actually hired the law firm I used to work at, the one that I had to quit because her and her boss, Lou Taylor, or her partner, I guess, I don't know what they are, tried to get me to stop making videos about them. And so instead of doing that, I just quit and gave up my law license. She still, I think, has that law firm hired because they had to hire the law firm to pretend like, we're clients now. Because otherwise, what standing would they have? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, if y'all care more about that than me, bye. You showed me what you thought. But I kind of have this like background, like conspiracy, like alternative universe theory that like me making such a big deal about that actually started an investigation 5 years ago into them. I hope so. But I don't have a lot of faith, truly. I've just gotten so used to seeing like the bad guys win over and over. I don't have a lot of faith that the good guys are going to win in this open air prison. But these 49 pages of text came in and Robin's in them. These texts are meant to support the means and methods part of the racketeering charge and show some members of the conspiracy. Woo! Oh my God. Members of the conspiracy. Where's Lou? Lou really put Robin's ass right out there. Robin was the one that was giving Brittany her medicine every day, Brittany said. We're looking at another 9 a.m. start time with the lawyers once more arriving 30 minutes early. "38 minutes ago, Ja Rule on Diddy claiming, y'all can decide if you believe him or not, he didn't know Diddy was capable of some of these things. Fellow rapper Ja Rule, a near exact contemporary of Diddy's, has been speaking to Extra's Billy Bush about the trial. This is what he had to say, quote, "It's all kind of shocking seeing it, me knowing Diddy and what I know of Diddy, I'm looking at some of this stuff like, wow, I didn't know he was capable of some of these things. I've never partied with that side of him. I've never seen that side. I've never seen Diddy be violent. I don't know that side of him. So it's like when you're watching all this, it's kind of unraveling." Sure. Day 23 begins. The disgraced mogul is wearing light pants and a brown long sleeve sweater, according to NBC News. All right, let's go back to Inner City Press. What's this? I love this account, Megan Cuniff. Look at this. We get this update from Jane's testimony from the transcript. It came out. Diddy's lawyer, Teeny Garagos, to the judge during a sidebar. So Teeny Garagos said, "I would ask if you want to give the witness an opportunity to take a break if she needs it. I feel badly to have her continue crying throughout the afternoon. She's been crying a lot this afternoon. I would ask if you want to give the witness an opportunity to take a break if she needs it. I feel badly to have her continue crying throughout the afternoon. I'm really ahead of schedule, so I'm just bringing this to your attention, Your Honor. I know you can see it, but I also have to get through my examination. So I'm just bringing this up to make sure the witness is okay to proceed." The judge said, "Okay, well, the witness said she could proceed. I'm not sure that the reaction from the witness is going to be any different if we do this at a later time." Teeny's like, "Okay." Okay. So where we left off on Inner City Press is a sidebar. And now they finally have come back What was the sidebar about? Well, it was the last question. What are these other buildings? Sauna, recording studio. What rooms were searched? All of them. The special agent said, it's a large property. I went through the objects that we seized and then entered them into our case management system. The prosecutor said, we want to enter into evidence these exhibits. I don't know what they were, but Mark Agnifilo objected. He said, no, don't put those in there. They come back from the sidebar and the exhibits are admitted. What are these exhibits? These are the floor plans of 200 South Mapleton. How do you know these are accurate? The prosecutor asked. And the special agent said, because I was there. And how many manila envelopes were there on the nightstand? Oh, girl, look at this. There was 6 manila envelopes on the nightstand. Now, if you will remember, Kim Porter had some mysterious stuff on her nightstand too, including a bottle of Ambien, off-brand Ambien, that wasn't prescribed to her. But the police report didn't say who it was prescribed to. And now I'm wondering who it was prescribed to for real. Was it Frank Black? I don't know. But at Diddy's California house, there were 6 manila envelopes on the nightstand. And what was written on these envelopes? The special agent said, the letter K. Okay, published the stipulation. Testing determined that it was K in the envelope. There was a K envelope that had a shamrock on it. This was K as in the horse tranquilizer that people take, for reasons, I guess. Okay, next question. Special Agent Lamont, was there a safe in the closet? He said, yes, it was gray. It's right there in the photo. What was in the safe? Oh, I'm so glad we're starting to find out what was in the house, y'all. I've been waiting since March last year to know what was in this house. It is June this year. What was in the safe in the closet? A passport for Diddy, a plastic bag. It had some type of substances in it. Okay, I'm going to enter into evidence or whatever, this stipulation, paragraph 1516. Testing found that the brown pebbles were M to the D to the M to the also ending in A. I think that's Molly Ann. I don't really know. I've never done any of them on purpose that I know of. Who knows what somebody put in my drink one day or something, but I don't think I've ever done any of this stuff. All right, we have an update from CNN. Oh, yes. 11 minutes ago, CNN mentions Robin. Oh my God, I could cry. I get excited every time I see it. I feel like I'm dreaming. It feels like I switched into a parallel reality where somebody's going to actually say Robin Greenhill and maybe even Lou Taylor. 11 minutes ago, jury hears text messages between Diddy and staffer. They also hear text messages between Cassie and a security guard in front of the jury. But before the Homeland Security investigation special agent came in, Andre Lamont, he gotta be from Louisiana, or his parents are. I mean, what in the more, could you even have a more French sounding name? Andre Lamont. Anyway, before he came onto the stand, the prosecutors read aloud some text messages. According to this reading, Diddy texted his then chief of staff, Christina Karam, in November 2023, stating in part, quote, woo! This is the month that Cassie filed her lawsuit. Diddy was texting Robin. Put a Robin in the chat. Put a Robin, put a clock for time's up in the chat. Because the same month Cassie filed her lawsuit, we get a text message from Diddy to KK, his chief of staff, saying in part the following, quote, make sure Robin is not doing anything dumb, like not having that rent paid on time. Can you make sure she paid for this month, please? According to previous testimony, Robin was Diddy's accountant. And Jane who dated Diddy from 2021 to 2024, testified in this case under a pseudonym and is identified as victim in the indictment. She said Robin handled the rent for her home. Now, the jury heard these text messages read out loud in court today. Diddy said, just to remind you, the month Cassie's lawsuit was filed, quote, make sure Robin ain't doing anything dumb, like not having that rent paid on time. Can you make sure she paid for this month, please? Love. Then KK responds, Robin said her rent was already paid. Another message chain was also read to the jurors today. Now, this message chain was between Cassie and D-Rock, one of Diddy's security guards. This one was from 2017. Cassie said, my bathroom door is broken down. He's blaming me for going to someone else's house when I actually just pulled over to see if I was being followed, and I was. He has my key, so I'm leaving my house. I don't feel safe. I'm not effing with anyone else, and I'm leaving. She's messaging the security guard about this because her and Diddy are in a fight back in 2017. D-Rock responded to Cassie, you know I can't take your keys from him. He's here and you're there. I think that's the best thing for now. Just stay separated. Okay. The most recent thing that we read from Inner City Press was this tweet right here 5 minutes ago. Is there a safe in the closet? In this closet. I don't know what closet it is. It appears that they're probably going through evidence of the bedroom, personal bedroom, but I really don't know. It's just, they're just showing, this in this closet. Yes, it's gray. The safe is gray. What was in the safe? A passport for Diddy, a plastic bag with substances in it. Okay. And I'm going to enter into evidence of stipulation that the testing found brown pebbles were M to the D, also M, and also A, which I think is Molly Ann. Next question. Okay, what's in this bag? The special agent said Johnson & Johnson baby oil, Astroglide, and some lingerie. Where else were Astro and baby oil found in this search? The special agent said in the bathroom, in the garage. Okay, show the photos. They show a bookcase full of baby oil and a drawer full of Astroglide. Next photo, boxes marked Astroglide. 24 boxes. 24 boxes. 24 boxes of Astroglide. Not 24 bottles, which would be a lot. Boxes. Where were these boxes of Astroglide found? Special Agent Lamont. He said, the garage. Overall, how many bottles of baby oil did you find? You, personally, you find. He said 200. How many bottles of Astroglide were at the house? 900. $900 bottles. He was a doomsday prepper of Astroglide. Astroglide should sponsor him. That should be the only person left sponsoring him. Only business left sponsoring him. Okay, so now we're going to start getting to where Mark Agnifilo is going to be objecting all day, every day. All right, to every one of these questions, I fear. So how many? So they said they found they said they found 1,000 bottles of baby oil. So if we add up the 200 from this house, that means they would have had to find 800 elsewhere. I don't think they actually did find 1,000 of baby oil. He said he found 200. I don't know how much was at the Miami residences, but he did say there were like large amounts. However, they found 900 bottles of personal lubricant. Girl. Okay, next question. Let's turn to the pew pew, plural, found at this residence. Now, remember, this is the 200 South Mapleton one. This is the one in California. Question, Special Agent, what are these? A Ruger, a Glock, some AR platform. Show the photo. What is this? Smith & Wesson on the chair, 3 30-round mags. Okay, we got another update from CNN. Substances positive for Kay and Molly Ann were taken from Diddy's LA home, according to evidence in court. With Homeland Security Investigator Special Agent Andre Lamont on the stand, the jury saw photos of items that authorities say were found in nightstands in the master bedroom of Diddy's home in LA. This is during the March 2024 raid or search. One of the nightstands contained 6 manila envelopes marked with a K. A white powder was in these bags, and it tested positive for K, according to a stipulation in court. Now, several cell phones were also found in the house. Several cell phones were found in the house. The jury saw photos of items that were inside a safe in one of the master closets. Diddy's passport and a plastic bag with a brown substance in it were found inside the safe. The brown substance tested positive for Molly. I don't know if MDMA and Molly is the same, but I'm just calling it Molly Ann so I don't get, you know what. Less than a minute ago, jury sees photos of items recovered from Diddy's home. The special agent said Homeland Security investigations discovered about 200 bottles of baby oil and 900 bottles of personal lubricant from Diddy's residence. The jury saw a photo of at least 16 boxes full of lubricant bottles piled up in Diddy's garage. Girl, is it temperature stable out there? The jury also saw a photo of a bag of baby oil and lubricant next to a pack of lingerie discovered from a closet near the master bedroom. Ann Brannigan, Washington Post, 1 minute ago. The prosecution has called its next witness, Homeland Security Special Agent Andre Lamont, who was involved in the federal raid on Diddy's home last year. The prosecution is methodically showing the jury some of the items found. 6 small manila envelopes with the letter K written on them. They all tested positive for K. 3 cell phones. 3 cell phones were recovered from this LA home. I think Robin's texts might be on one of them or more. We'll see. Stand by. Also, a plastic bag. Now, this is all stuff that the jury saw pictures of. A plastic bag that tested positive for Molly Ann. MD to the M to the also A is also EX. That's the same thing. So what's the difference between that and Molly? Girl, I don't know. Anyway, a large cooler bag of baby oil and a closet full of baby oil, including, and also they saw a picture of at least 18 retail size boxes of the lubricant Astroglide. Lamont estimated that the federal government seized 200 or so bottles of baby oil in total from that house and 900 of the lubricant. One minute ago, NBC News said hundreds of bottles of lubricants found at Diddy's home in LA. They found 900 bottles of the Astro and 200 bottles of baby oil when they raided Diddy's home in LA last year. The lubricants were frequently used during hotel nights and freakoffs when Diddy directed women to have relations with other men as he watched. Witnesses have testified at this trial. We have an update about this juror on Independent. Juror may have lied about NYC residency. The issue with the male juror stems from a remark he made to the jury staff about where he lives. During jury selection, the man said he lived in the Bronx. But when attorneys met with the juror the other day, the government said his answers were inconsistent with that statement. Prosecutors say he may have lied about his residence because his employer might have a requirement to live in New York. Diddy waved the juror issue with a hand gesture. prompting a chuckle from the judge. Oh, here is the courtroom they're in. It looks like it. Oh, good. Thank God. They must have watched our live yesterday. A look inside the courtroom. Cameras aren't allowed in Diddy's federal trial, but these photos of a similar Manhattan courtroom show you the layout inside a federal courtroom similar to the one where Diddy's trial is being held. So Diddy, I guess they're one behind the other. I don't know what side Diddy's lawyers would be. I think Diddy's back here. I don't know where Diddy would be sitting. This is where the jurors are. Okay, now Andre Lamont is on the stand. Okay, we read that. Day 23 begins. Lawyers discuss guns in Diddy's mansion. Both sides debated how to present the discovery of the pew-pews. Okay. That's interesting. Let's go back to Inner City Press. Okay, so remember he's talking about the Rugers and all this stuff, and then also 511 bag. What's that? Just a bag, and this more pew-pews, another pew-pew, and this a drum magazine, large capacity. This one was a 60 round, and one was gone. Look, this one was a 60 round, and it had 59 rounds in it. So did one get pew-pewed? I don't know. What does green tip ammunition do? The agent said green tip is designed to pierce body armor. Could you go look at the boxes of pew-pews in the cart next to you? And he does. He said the serial numbers where they existed matched up. So he's trying to, in court, he's saying the same serial number, same serial number, same serial number. And he's like, some of them don't have serial numbers. Remember, they were scratched off. So this is like pretty serious stuff. This is designed to pierce body armor. Very interesting. Lamont estimated the federal government seized 200 or so bottles of baby oil and 900 bottles of lubricant just from that house, just from that one. Oh, they updated it. Shout out to the Independent, y'all. They updated it. I got to give it to them. I tweeted them and they updated it. I don't know if they updated it because I tweeted it, but look, 7 minutes ago, the Independent. Jury hears texts between Diddy and staffer, Cassie and bodyguard. Before Lamont testified, prosecutors read a 2023 text from Diddy to his chief of staff, Christina Karam, also known as KK. Oh, they didn't update it because this isn't those 49. But that's okay. Now they're mentioning her. That's fine with me. KK is urging Diddy is urging KK to make sure his accountant, Robin, paid Jane's rent. Jane, a former girlfriend and alleged victim, previously testified that Diddy covered her LA rent. Robin said her rent was paid, KK replied. Prosecutors also read a January 2017 text message exchange between Cassie, then dating Diddy, and a security guard, D-Rock. My bathroom door is broken down. He's blaming me for going to someone else's house when all I did was pull over to see if I was being followed, and I was. He has my key, so I'm leaving. I don't feel safe, and I'm not effing with anybody else. Cassie later texted D-Rock about 3 broken doors. But then D-Rock said back, I can't take your keys from him. He's here and you're there. I think that's the best thing for now. Shout out to Down the Rabbit Hole News. She in the chat? Thanks so much, DeLeon Grant, becoming a member. Shout out to you. Shout out to Michelle, becoming a member. Thanks so much to Megan for the $1 Australian super chat. No mention of Meek Mill. Trap Lord Ross just did a deep dive video. I think that man might be a federal agent or something. I don't trust that Trap Lord Ross. I don't. Y'all can do what y'all want. I don't trust him far as I could throw him. I can't throw him far. Thank you for that $4.99 though. Maybe I'll check that out. But no mention of Meek Mill. No mention of Meek Mill. Thank you for the $4.99. Thank you, Michelle, for the $5 super chat. Can I be your Virginia cousin? Became a member today. Yes. Shout out to the Virginia cousins in the chat. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry, y'all. Some certain people, whenever they call, you got to answer, right? Okay. Speaking of books, could you do a few along to Kim's book? I may do that. I've thought about it before. The issue is I was going to do it, and then everybody started saying that book was fake. So I'm like, do I really want to do it? Not necessarily that I think it would be like a waste of time, although kind of maybe it would if it's not real, but like so many people have come out who are like her kids. I'll be sure. Like everyone's saying it's fake. So I thought about it before, but I just have so much other stuff that I definitely have to get into. First, I have like Whitney Houston's autopsy report just sitting here. I have Aaron Carter's autopsy report that I've had for a couple months. Like I need to do some other stuff too. But yeah, I would be open to it eventually one day or something. Thank you for that £4.99 super chat. Actually, yes, River Mama. Thank you for that $5 super chat. I love the Diddy Kazakhstan video. Did you come across the Nazarbayeva family that Diddy allegedly met while he was? Yes, I did come across that family. And they're mentioned quite a bit. Very interesting. And I think it's interesting too that Nazar is one of the names that I think Linda Omar's like brother changed his name to or something. But that's a story for another day. Thank you so much for that $5 super chat. Let's see if Inner City Press has updated any yeah, they have new tweets here, so let's get to those. Last we left off, we were talking about green tip ammunition. Do any of the pew-pews not have a serial number? The agent said one did not. This one. And he holds up a pew-pew. How are the serial numbers on this pew-pew eliminated, Special Agent? He said they were sanded off with a machine. It's smooth. It's not like it was done with a screwdriver. Okay. So that was the end of the the direct examination. Now the cross examination. Here come Agnifilo. Cross examination. Agnifilo. You're aware that Mr. Combs has security, right? The special agent's like, yeah. And every pew pew and piece of ammo was recovered from the security office, right? Yeah. And there was no pew pews in his kid's bedroom, was there? None. So now Agnifilo is trying to say, you know, I thought one of these pew-pews was found in his closet. But maybe that was in his Miami home. Yeah, remember that one guy held up the pew-pews? Look, here's the picture of the raid. Homeland Security Investigations agents were seen outside of the home in LA on March 25th, 2024. Okay, so maybe this is the why they say over 1,000 bottles, but I think it's just total. I think it's like total across all the things. Like it was 1,000 bottles. I don't really know. Was it 1,000 bottles of baby oil or was it 1,000 bottles of Astro? I don't really know. But again, law enforcement sees 200 bottles of baby oil, which is still a lot. A lot. And 900 bottles of Astro. Okay, let's go to Washington. Oh, we just did that one. You're aware that Diddy has private security, right? Thank you, Iris, becoming a member. Shout out to you. Thank you, Brittany, for the $4.99 super chat. You are not throwing away your shot. Which Hamilton shirt is it? I want the one that says Rise Up. When I went to Hamilton, I was like trying to like be more minimalist and like not just like buy stuff all the time. And I still be thinking about that shirt with his hand like and he's saying Rise Up. I love that one. You're living on your knees, you rise up. Thanks so much for that. A $4.99. I love Hamilton. By far, hands down, definitely my favorite Broadway thing. Hamilton. Thanks so much to K Money for the $4.99 super sticker. Shout out to you. Thank you, Chill Murray, for the $4.99. Not sure if it was mentioned. But did anyone know Ye and Bianca were denied entry? No one actually does know this. Thank you for the $4.99. This is a rumor. This hasn't been confirmed, but we did discuss that it's a rumor. Thanks so much for that $4.99. Thank you, Baby Mine, becoming a member. Shout out to you. Thanks so much for the £2 super chat to Tom Stansfield. Oh, Damien is D-Rock. Thank you so much, AJ, for that $1.99 and for letting me know. Damien is D-Rock. Thank you. Shout out to Rachel becoming a member. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for that. JRM, we all feel like you're a coworker all day. That's funny. Thanks so much for the $1.99. Yeah, I kind of am. We all working at the same time. We are working simultaneously. Is that co? Know what that means? Thanks so much, Lilith. Shout out to you. Today is payday. You deserve all the flowers for keeping us so well informed. Thank you so much for that £10 super chat. Thank you, Mark Girl, for Lisa, for the $2 super chat. No, thank you for the $4.99. Robin Greenhill is so gross. I'm happy she's getting her name dragged into this trial. I'm just waiting for Lou to come up too. Justice for Brittany. Shout out. Matt Rosengart better put himself to use. He better put himself to use working with these feds. Thanks so much for the $4.99. Thank you, Sarah Johnson, for that $20 super chat. Doomsday Prepper of Astro. I can't. Thanks for your amazing coverage. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for that $20 super chat. And thank you, New Life Plan, for the $9.99. In my opinion, we need all grounds. So chats about flour. Diddy and Tarek tried to buy so much of Cresco Labs and dispensary. It was a record-sized deal for minorities. Deal was shut down. Why? Good question, New Life Plan. I don't know where you find the time, girl. You know everything. Thanks so much for the $9.99. Yeah, actually, Rochelle, I made a whole video about Bling, a couple of videos about Bling, the book. I tried to request her autopsy report and they had just changed the law in Florida to where I couldn't get it. It was very, very interesting. Suspicious and shady, if you ask me. Unconstitutional, if you ask me, even. Okay, so where we left off here, it was Mark Agnifilo was questioning this special agent. Now, the special agent Mark Agnifilo did not want this man to be able to even ask any questions at all whatsoever about these pew-pews. But then the judge is going to let it be asked. So now Mark Agnifilo gets to give, his cross-examination here. And he's like, so all these pew-pews, every single pew-pew and every single piece of ammunition was recovered from that security office, right? Right. There was no pew-pews in any kids' bedrooms, right? The officer or the agent said, no, none. And was the security office door important? Oh, sorry. This is important. I was reading ahead. Was the security office door locked? Mark Agnifilo asks. And the agent said, no, not when I got there. But before, isn't it important? Did it have a lock? He said, well, it had a knob. It had a doorknob. I don't know if it had a lock or not, Mark. But you have no reason to think the safe was open before you got there, right? We have 2 new updates from CNN. Agents found multiple pew-pew and ammo designed to penetrate body armor at Diddy's house. The jury saw photos of 6 pew-pews. They saw magazines, ammo found in a security room in the home. The special agent testified that when he arrived, agents responsible for securing the home, making sure it was safe for everybody to do the searches, they had already laid out the firearms and removed their magazines in accordance with the standard procedures. The officer, the agent, he said the security room had a pew-pew safe, and agents also found 2 locks and a bag. 3 of the pew-pews were this. 1 was a smaller one like this, and 1 was like this, according to the agent. He testified that the serial number on one of the rifles appeared to have been scratched and sanded off. They also seized a drum magazine compatible with rifles. Lamont testified that these typically hold a larger amount of pew-pew ammunition. This drum magazine would hold 60, and 59 were actually in there, so 1 was not in there. He said that the green tip means penetrating body armor. Now, I do just want to make a disclaimer. This is not in any way a glorification or a making light of this. This is a very important trial. This is an issue of public concern. It's being called the trial of the century. These are live public accountings from inside of the court from reputable sources. This one right here is CNN.com. So I am just trying to provide opinion and commentary on issues of public concern. This is a very public trial. So just want to make that disclaimer. 2 minutes ago, pew-pew found only in Diddy's security room. The special agent confirms. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo is now cross-examining Special Agent Andre Lamont, who has been testifying about his participation in Homeland Security Investigation's March 2024 search of Diddy's home. When asked, Lamont confirmed he's aware that a security team protects Diddy's residence, and there is a designated security room where all the firearms were recovered. No guns or pew-pew were found anywhere else in the home other than just that one security office. Okay, but what about the stuff that was sawed off? That's still an issue. NBCnews.com 8 minutes ago. Large number of pew-pew found at Diddy's home. He kept an arsenal of firearms and pew-pew designed to pierce armor, according to the federal agent who led the raid. He led the raid. Now, this is NBC saying it. Take it with a grain of salt. Long runs, ARs, Smith, Wessons, Rugers, Glocks, all of these were among the firearms discovered at Diddy's Mapleton Drive home. Agents also found 59 rounds of green tip pew-pew, which is manufactured to penetrate body armor. So where's that other one? They just took it out? Can you take it out? Somebody who knows about these things at a granular level, let me know. If it's the 60 round drum, can you just take one out, or do you have to fire it? Somebody tell me. Look. This right here. Somebody who knows, or somebody who's got a husband who does this or something, wife, whatever. Can a round of green, this is the question. Timestamp question right here. Can one single round of green tip ammunition from a 60 round drum magazine be manually removed, or does it have to be fired? Somebody tell me. He said that green tip is designed to pierce body armor. Now, very importantly, y'all, Mark Agnifilo maintains that these are legal. These are registered. They were legal. I don't know how they possibly could be if one of the numbers was sawed off, but who knows? I'm just letting you know that, Diddy maintains that these were all allowed. This isn't like, oh, you found that there and Diddy's busted. Just wanted to, put it out there. So you have no reason to think the safe was open. So Inner City Press put Assistant U.S. Attorney here, but I think he meant Agnifilo. The last question was, you have no reason to believe that the safe was just wide ass open. Just like, you don't think that, right? Before you got there, it was open. It was probably opened by y'all. The agent said, yeah, I mean, we brought a locksmith, but I did not see him touch that safe. He said, this was a pew-pew safe, like a safe designed to keep pew-pews stored in it. So like Mark Agnifilo starts to try by saying like, okay, so we're in Manhattan, we don't know a lot about pew-pews because we're not really allowed to have them over here. Oh, sorry. Withdrawn. This safe, the safe you found, it was designed to hold pew-pews and ammunition and weapons, right? I mean, we've all seen these things, pew-pew safe. The agent said, yes, it was designed for that. So why y'all don't have a photo of yourself opening up the safe? And remember, this guy did not do the sweep. He just came in and did the inventory. Okay. Just now, we have another update. Anne Brannigan, Washington Post. Prosecutors showed photos of 6 pew-pews, including 2 Smith, Wesson, Mossberg. I'm not saying the full things out, y'all. I'm trying not to get, in trouble or whatever, but this is all the stuff they found, allegedly, according to this agent. They were all recovered by federal agents in a March 2024 raid on Diddy's mansion. Now, when are we going to get to the tapes? I want to know what they found with the tapes. Okay, where's the security system? Where's the tapes? That's what we're asking about. Pew-pews are important, but if they're legal and they're in a safe, I don't care. You're not going to get me to care. If they're in a safe behind a locked door in a locked safe and they're being stored properly, I mean, we have the Second Amendment. I know some of y'all don't like it, but I don't care. I don't care. Now, if they were all out in the closet and the kid's bedroom and all of that stuff, I would care because you got to responsibly store stuff. But there is one here. Look, they all recovered by federal agents in the raid in March 2024 in LA. But one of these had the serial numbers sanded off or scratched off. Agents also found other projectiles, including high-capacity drum magazine with 59 green tip rounds. He said the bullets are notable because they're manufactured to penetrate body armor better than normal ammunition. Has anybody answered about the one could have been in the chamber, Jewel said. Okay. Tyrone said, yeah, it could just be took out. So maybe they just took it out just to look at it or something. Okay, thank you, Tyrone. Okay, thank you. I don't know if it's legal. That's what I'm saying, Dazzler. They're saying they're all legal or whatever, but what about that one that they took the serial number off of in California? I mean, this ain't Louisiana. This ain't even Pennsylvania. We talking about California. I mean, I think you got to have the serial number still intact for it to be legal, but I don't know. Thank you, Southern gentleman. You are obviously not a Southern gentleman because you're calling people femme monsters. I rebuke you in the name of all that is holy, but I'll take that $5. Thank you. Thank you, Janetta Anderson, for that $2 super chat. Thanks so much. It is a federal crime, Meg said, to scratch the serial number off of something. This is not legal. Baby Mine said, hold on. Them substances weren't locked up. What about that? That's bothering me more than the pew-pew. Okay. All right. Okay, JRM. All right. Okay. All right. Y'all are schooling me. Thank you for the $4.99. He said, or she, or they. Biggie Small song, Give Me the Loot, 1 in the chamber, 32 in the clip. So that means 1 is ready to go and the rest is in the clip. Okay, I don't know, but does the high capacity drums work the same way as a clip? Shalindell said, yeah, if they're locked up, who cares? Plus, they do have to prove it was Diddy's, and he has a strong alibi that it wasn't his. Dark HL said you need the serial number for it to be legal, no matter where you live on planet Earth. That's a planet law. Thank you so much for that. Snowfire said if manual load, it wasn't loaded to begin with. If not, the missing one was in the chamber. All right. Okay. Or they found a target. That's what I'm wondering, Snowfire. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Christina said, yes, the ones. Yeah, I enjoy being a femme monster. And it's so funny too, because like, that's just not the vibe over here. Like, I'm very fair to men. I love men. I think men need to start getting back to being men again. You know, I say it. I ain't no problem with men over here. Not a single problem. Toxic men, of course, but I got problems with toxic women. I got problems with toxic they thems too. Okay. So it's just not even the vibe over here at all. Like, that this is the femme monster channel. Please. Everyone knows that's not even true. But thanks for the $5. I'll take that. Somebody said yesterday, oh, now the haters are having to pay to get her to read the comments. Thank God. I should have always been being paid for that. Okay. So just to remind you, the agent said, I mean, we did have a locksmith there, but I didn't see him touch that safe. So I don't know if the safe was open or closed. But it was, you know, it was designed to hold those items. Just waiting for another update here. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing over there. Milla's ex. Thank you for that $9.99 super chat. Shout out to Bella, first time in the chat. The government does not come down hard on that fact. They are part of the problem. Yeah, they need to come down hard on that sawed off thing, on that scratched off thing. Tremel said, I'm gonna stop you right there. In the state of California, any assault rifle is illegal. Period. It don't matter if they're in your house, in a safe, on the moon, redfish, bluefish. Thank for that. He said he's from Cali. It is not legal to scratch numbers off in any state. Y'all are funny. Okay, thanks so much, Super Chef Ty. Super Chef Ty in my chat giving me a super chat, but didn't send me a recipe, I noticed. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He said that M to the D, also M and also A, is a synthetic psychoactive substance, also known as EX or Molly. They're all the same. Okay, got it. Thank you. Yeah, that's called a ghost pew pew of sorts, and it makes your case go from state to federal. Just load 59 you could do, or yes, you can remove one. Thank you, Levi. And forever, Tulsa Girl said, and just remember, we talking about RICO. Pew pew, rugs, ex-workers, all paid by the enterprise. This is RICO. Innocent until proven guilty, but I could see how that is how they're trying to build this. Okay. Why don't you have a photo of yourself opening the safe? I knows they don't do that. They're trying to like scan for like booms and stuff. Like they're not taking selfies. He said the SRT, I think this is like the safety team that does all the, the squad, goes in first. And Diddy's lawyer goes, so because of this protocol, we don't have any pictures? Do you use a body cam? No. In your human trafficking work, have you ever dealt with Astroglide before? Andre Lamont said no, only in this case. Okay. Ha 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 ha. So here's Agnifilo looking at his notes. He's like, hold on. Let me role play the Agnifilo. He's like, Special Agent Lamont, in your work, have you ever investigating human trafficking dealt with Astroglide? The agent's like, only in this case, sir. And here's Agnifilo. Okay. And the judge even had to say, Agnifilo, no comments, please. Okay, fine. Next question. So the baby oil was in the garage. The agent said no. It was Astroglide in the garage. You're from LA. Yes. Okay, no further questions. Why did he say enjoy? Mark Agnifilo was like, enjoy. You're from LA, aren't you? This agent said, yeah. And Agnifilo's like, enjoy. What does this mean? And then he says, no further questions. Less than a minute ago, CNN.com special response team, that's the SRT, cleared Diddy's home before other agents entered. Oh, now they spelling his name different. Now I know he got to be from Louisiana with that spelling. Andre. That is Louisiana. His mama is straight from New Orleans. I will not be convinced otherwise. Andre Lamont. Okay, hold on. But Mark Agnifilo did get him to just confirm he's from LA. So I don't know. Maybe his mama moved over there as dad or something. Special Agent Andre Lamont. It is just such a Cajun name. I cannot get over it. Testified that a special, because it keeps coming up. That's why I keep noticing it, like Don Richard. It's like everybody's my cousin. That's why I'm so into this case. Andre Lamont testified that a special response team cleared Diddy's home first to make sure it was safe for other agents to enter during the March 2024 raid. He said that his team's that team, the SRT, the special response team, their sole purpose upon entering the location is to look for people or if they encounter weapons to make the weapons safe. He said that the team does not typically take photos of items on the property. Because of that, Lamont said he didn't know if the pew-pews were found inside the safe, if the safe was locked, or if the door to the security room was locked when agents first arrived at the home. Cross-examination ends and the jury takes a brief break. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo has finished his cross-examination and the jury is taking a 15-minute break. Independent.com or theindependent.com 12 minutes ago, pew-pews only found in security office. Lamont testified that all of the pew-pews and the ammo, even the ones with the scratched off, sawed off numbers, were found in an on-site security office. No pew-pew or ammo were found in any of his kids' rooms. Here's some sketches from court today. Here's Agnifilo being cranky. There's Teeny. There's Diddy. That always make his teeth look yellow. Okay, breaking news. Jonathan Perez is invoking his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, and they are ordering him to still testify. They're back for Jonathan Perez to invoke the Fifth Amendment. Do you intend to assert that right as explained? He said, yup. The judge said, I'll enter the order of immunity. Mr. Combs has been nodding. Everybody, Diddy's nodding again. Diddy's nodding. He keeps nodding. Breaking news. Diddy cannot keep his bobble head in check, is accused by prosecutors of, what's the exact thing? Nodding. Accused again by prosecutors of nodding during cross-examination. They want another admonishment. I will say, y'all, it is hard not to be nodding and making faces and stuff, but I think like once I got fussed at like that and said they were going to kick me out the courtroom, I'll probably be able to keep it together. I don't know. That's just me. Okay. Brian Steele said, it is my affirmation, Your Honor, which you cannot put a freaking, don't bet your house, don't bet your car, don't bet something you're ready to lose on Brian Steele's affirmation, because he said a 38-second long video was 8 seconds long before by affirmation. So the first thing I ever heard him affirm was not true. So I am absolutely not going to be taking this man's affirmation for anything. I mean, I can respect that he's good at, doing a cross-examination or whatever, but I don't think he's honest. I don't think he's trustworthy. And I don't think you can just take his word for things. But here's Brian Steele. Your Honor, I affirm that Mr. Combs has done nothing inappropriate. Judge said, okay, very good. We did have an exchange about this already a few days ago. There is going to be some amount of reaction to testimony that's given, but it's going to be impossible for me to police all of it. That's why we need cameras in courtrooms, because then you don't have to take Brian Steele's crusty word on anything. You can just know what happened by looking at the play and the tapes. But yes, so this guy right here, he just pled the fifth. He is coming up next. He's the next witness. Former Diddy assistant, Combs Global, 2021 to 2024. So these are like the exact same years that Jane dated. These are the exact same years that Jane dated, or, whatever you want to call that. They call anything these days, but, was involved with Diddy. SULE, they would do the FOs. But this guy right here, he was the assistant during that time. Jane also testified about different things about this. This Jonathan assistant came up many times in her testimony over the past 6 days. Okay, let's see if our details queens have anything going on over here. Not yet. I bet you they're going to talk about it, though, with the nodding. I bet details queens at Washington Post are going to talk about that nodding. If you're just joining, hi, hello. They're on a brief break. They just finished with some testimony from the special agent who oversaw parts or maybe all of the raid on Diddy's LA home. Now, I want to know why he didn't testify about all the surveillance they found. They found tapes, they found security cameras, they found footage. Why nobody testified about that? What was all them terabytes? Let me look up how many terabytes they recovered. I remember it being reported. Watch is going to be all wiped. Yeah, look. The Los Angeles Times, right here. Look, boom. Terabytes of data from phones, computers, seized. Federal authorities possess several terabytes of electronic data. The voluminous amount of data taken during discovery in the sweeping case. Oh, not during discovery. Yeah, no, it says raid. Seized. Yeah, seized. The data came from more than 40 electronic devices. Why he didn't testify to finding those? Huh? 5 cloud storage services associated with Diddy. 40 electronic devices. They continue to seek even more data as part of the investigation. Diddy's lawyers are pushing back, demanding copies of the data. In a filing with the court, this is last year this was filed, Diddy's legal team also questioned how information from the grand jury indictment was leaked. At some point today, Diddy intends to file a motion for a hearing. He's accused of using his entertainment empire since as far back as 2000, it says 9, but now it's 4 because they did a superseding indictment, as far back as 2004, to lure female victims and use violence, coercion, and substances to get women to take part in what were known as freakoffs. Elaborate sexual performances that often were recorded and sometimes lasted days. Prosecutors allege the music icon's business network was ultimately about furthering his criminal conduct. Prosecutors informed the U.S. District Attorney that during search warrants, Homeland Security investigations seized, several terabytes of electronic material from cell phones, laptops, tablets, hard drives, cloud service accounts, business records, physical evidence, all as part of its investigation into the alleged decades-long ST and forced sexual acts in the freakoffs. The prosecutors say they're still copying over 40 devices and the other 5 iCloud accounts belonging to the defendant, which is expected to take several days due to the volume of the materials. Prosecutors told the court that their forensic team is working expediently as possible since their seizure. And expects to turn over the data. They did already turn that data over. Diddy's lawyers, however, say they intend to ask the court to require the government to immediately produce certain categories of information, namely Diddy's electronic devices that were seized over 6 months ago. The government also seized additional devices belonging to Diddy at the time of his arrest in New York, which we did hear about. We also understand that the government is now beginning to review the copies of electronic devices, even though they were seized in March. Mr. Combs continues to assert his right to a speedy trial. The investigation involves more than 50 witnesses. 300 warrants, all of which unfolded since last fall, when Diddy's former girlfriend, Cassie, filed a lawsuit against him. Diddy settled the suit with $20 million in 24 hours. Okay, so what about all the special agent only testified to that? He didn't testify to the, quote, several terabytes of electronic material? Isn't that interesting? Yeah, is that really not coming into court? Lydia said, not being discussed at all? That's weird. I've been waiting since March to hear. Thanks so much, Itty Bitty Kitty, for the $1.99 super sticker. There's an update. Kanye West arrives at the courthouse. Breaking news. Oh my gosh. Kanye West arrives at the courthouse. He just arrived at the courthouse. He's dressed in all white, wearing sunglasses. I gotta hold on. I gotta update this. Look at this. Look at it. I gotta take a picture of it. Oh my God. I need to make it like this. Hold on. Y'all, Kanye West arrived at the courthouse. Kanye West is at the courthouse. Kanye West is wearing all white at the courthouse. I haven't seen the man wear all white in a long time. Breaking news. Yay, FKA Kanye West has arrived at the Diddy trial. This is insane. According to CNN. Kanye West has entered the chat. No, it's not a joke. I'm serious. It's a real thing. Look, right here, CNN.com. Yeah, no, I'm actually serious on this one. Kanye West arrives at the courthouse. It says right there, CNN.com. He's a day late. Yeah, he's late. I think that might have been what they were arguing about for 2 hours yesterday. Somebody even commented in my chat, what if the rapper just makes his own self known? And I kind of had a feeling like, look, Inner City Press said it. Update, Kanye West has just arrived. This is Inner City Press saying it now too. Has just arrived in Southern District of New York courthouse. I ran down to the lobby. Marshall reminds, no phones, hence no photos. But he came in white pants and a jacket. Security is with him. One forgot the token they give you to pick up your phone when you leave.
Made up. We'll see. In any case, we covered it in great detail, and in fact, we are now preparing Diddy on Trial Week 5, the book. Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse today, Friday, June 13th. This is day 23, could it be, of the U.S. versus Sean Combs trial. And we're covering it. Yesterday, finally, after 6 long, grueling days, as they say, the witness known as Jane, Anonymous Jane, finished on the stand. And she finished with some acrimony with Penny Garagos. And then at the end, apparently they, made up. We'll see. In any case, we covered it in great detail. And in fact, there should be 3 witnesses. We have the guy, Karam. People have been asking whether they'll see D-Rock. Since prosecutor Maureen Comey has said that the government may rest its case as early as next Wednesday, just to say like 5 days from now, 6 days from now, or Friday, with Thursday being a day off, I don't think you're going to see those guys because they would get cross-examined in great detail.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll just
I think he's going to talk about Kanye.
The defense case will be. And they're free, they say, by bungle. I don't want to say more serious, but so that's where things stand in Diddy's world. Now, on a more serious, I don't want to say more serious, but on the Insurrection Act front.
Okay. So he didn't say anything about Kanye, I don't think, in that video. But he did say it right here. Look, update. Kanye West has just arrived in the Southern District of New York courthouse. I ran down to the lobby. Marshals remind, no phones, so I couldn't take photos, but he came in white pants and a jacket. Security was with him, and one forgot the token they gave you to pick up your phone. Update. As of 11:28 a.m., Kanye West, now known as Ye Ye, has just arrived in the courthouse. I ran down to the lobby. Marshals reminded me no photos, but Ye came in, white pants and jacket, security with him. One forgot the token they give you to try to pick up your phone when you leave. And he came in on the break. Listen, it is a circus. This whole trial is a freaking circus. He's been in touch with Diddy's family about possibly attending Diddy's trial. Kanye West nodded yes when a reporter asked him if he was here to support Diddy, but he did not answer any other questions. He was directed into the overflow room. Is Mims there? Is Make It Make Sense in that overflow room? I don't think Bianca's there. I don't think Bianca is there. Rosa said, hold on. Does this mean that Kanye is the only loyal friend that Diddy has, or does he just want attention? I do think that, there could be a conflict of interest or at least a little bit of a self-serving interest, because Kanye is accused of similar things in multiple lawsuits. So he might see what's being done to Diddy and be like, this could be done to me. So let me stand up for Diddy. Thanks so much for the $5 super chat, Sarah, and letting me know Kanye arrived at court. Thanks so much, Robin Lambert, for the £1.99. Robin freaking Greenhill. LOL. I rebuke. Me too. Thank you, Lauren. I was dying over the Kazakhstan documentary last night. Not to be confused with Will Smith. LOL. LOL. Everyone check it out. If you haven't already, heart. Thanks so much for that $10, Lauren. Thank you, New Life Plan. Welcome, Kanye. I've been waiting for a Card Jenner, a Gamble, or a West to show their face. Tell me it's Kanye that's going to be the surprise witness. Thanks so much for that $4.99. No, he's there to make a PR. Stallion has said, does he think he's just going to walk up on the stand? I don't think so. I think he thinks he's going to make a scene. He's going to make a statement. It's like kind of a statement by just showing up. But is Mims in the courtroom right now is Mims in that overflow room right now with Kanye? With Ye? TMZ has pictures. Okay, let me look it up. They do have pictures of him. Bianca's there. Bianca is there. Whoever asked that. Look. And they're wearing black and white, the Diddy family colors. Ye and Bianca dressed to the nines. At least the girl got dressed. Thank God. She's probably butt naked under there. Dressed to the nines in New York State of Mind. Going back to Diddy. Yep. He's got the Levi's on. She's got the leather. Kanye West, now known as Ye, one of Diddy's only remaining celebrity supporters, is in New York City opening the door to the possibility he will head to the federal court to back his guy. Ye and Bianca, his wife, left an event Thursday evening. Last night in New York, he was rocking white denim from head to toe, while Bianca was back in black, matching trench coat and stiletto-heeled boots. Normally, he's dressed more casually, and she's, well, naked. We're told that they had attended a graduation ceremony this morning, hence the outfits. I think they just gave a picture of Kim Kardashian and said, like, make her look like a Kim clone, because that ain't what she always looked like. She did not always look like this. It was like specifically she looks like Kim Kardashian now. Now, the fact that they're in New York City adds to the anticipation that they could show up to support Diddy on the 23rd day of his ST trial. Now they have shown up to court. It would be a pretty stunning twist in the Diddy saga. The disgraced mogul's celebrity friends have at least publicly abandoned him since 2024. None of them have shown up to court. Kanye recorded a prison phone call he had with Diddy. He used portions of it to make a song with his kid in it. And he dropped that song in March. Friday's testimony is already underway. It's going to make it really hard when this one right here starts making her own allegations. Let me stop. So it's unclear if, okay, so it's not unclear anymore. They're there. They are there. The jury was out of the courtroom whenever they talked about nodding. The judge probably doesn't want the jury to see Kanye, because that could persuade them. Kanye West is in the MF chat, y'all. Every time you say, let me stop. I know, Annie, people do think Kanye's the other rapper. Corey Gamble is Diddy's cousin? How you know? He van sit near Ray J. What does that mean? Oh, he can sit or van? I don't know what that means. Sasha Speaks said, I didn't think he would be back since they wouldn't let him in yesterday, but I should have known better. There was gossip, there was rumors going on that he was trying to get in yesterday. And they wouldn't let him in, which seems very odd. I mean, he has a right. to go into the courtroom. Washington Post must have not found out about it yet. 1 minute ago, they said defense lawyer Mark Agnifilo asked Homeland Security agent Andre Lamont whether he had recovered hundreds of bottles of baby oil and lubricant from any other human trafficking or smuggling operations he was a part of. Mark Agnifilo trying to imply that baby oil and Astro are not hallmarks of a trafficking operation. He said, no, it's only been this one. So, buy Astro in bulk? Is that what it looks like to you? Agnifilo asked, and he noted that the baby oil and the Astro were found in the house, but all the pew-pews were in the security room. Lamont looked at Agnifilo quizzically and then looked at the jury. So that's not probably the answer Mark Agnifilo wanted. 3 new updates from NBC. Prosecutor, okay, we get more information about Diddy nodding from NBC News. Prosecutor complains to the judge about Diddy nodding emphatically. Maureen Comey, one of the prosecutors, complained to the judge that Diddy was nodding emphatically as Jane testified, and again today as the Homeland Security agent testified. Brian Steele, someone known to not tell the truth in court in this very trial, and also one of Diddy's lawyers, pushed back on that characterization, saying his client has been nothing but professional. The judge who scolded Diddy's team just last week after Diddy couldn't keep his head straight and couldn't keep his head and his face right. Oh, he wants to tell everybody else to fix their face, but he can't fix his own, I guess. Last week, the judge already scolded Diddy, but today, the judge told the prosecutor it would be impossible to police everyone in the courtroom. But he made it very clear he's going to keep an eye out for any inappropriate behavior from Diddy. 5 minutes ago, Kanye West arrives to the courthouse. Yay, yay, came to the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Bystanders shouted, "Thanks for the support, Kanye," as he entered the building. Bystanders that are being paid, in my opinion. Oils were a surprising find for the agent. The agent said he never found large amounts of baby oil in his previous investigations of HT, but have they ever investigated a famous person such to this degree that was having white parties and freakoffs? That's what I want to also know. Let's ask that question too. Ask if he'd ever walked out of a trafficking raid with boxes of baby oil. The agent said, no, just been this one. That's what I thought, Diddy's lawyer said. Perhaps insinuating that the presence of these Astros and stuff signal consensual acts, but that's what I thought. The judge was like, can you refrain from making comments, Mark? What are you doing? 1 minute ago, CNN also talking about the nodding. Prosecution points judge to Diddy's nodding during testimony. While the jury was on break, Maureen Comey brought up an issue with the judge. During the defense's cross-examination of Special Agent Andre Lamont, he said Diddy was nodding emphatically, and he was also nodding during Jane's cross-examination. Even if Diddy is not looking directly at the jury, he still should not be nodding like that, Comey said. Remember, he was like, now he's just covering his face, and he's still going. And it's like obvious he's like nodding. It's basically testimony. But Brian Steele, who doesn't seem to have a very good moral compass, said Diddy hasn't been looking at the jury and he's been acting professionally. Mr. Combs did nothing inappropriate at all today or any other day, actually. The judge referenced the discussion that the lawyers had last week after Diddy was said to be trying to interact with the jury. The judge said he believed both sides have since made the boundaries clear to their respective teams. He said, quote, there's going to be some amount of reaction to testimony that's given, and it is impossible to police every reaction from every person in this courtroom, the judge said. He reiterated that the efforts to communicate with or influence the jury will not be allowed. The prosecutor clarified that she was not seeking a curative instruction or suggesting that Diddy be removed, but she thought it was inappropriate for Diddy to be nodding emphatically while his attorney is asking a witness a yes or no question. I would have to agree. Okay, so we do have some pictures of Kanye getting out of the car right here. Okay, so Bianca did not come with him to court. She's not for court. She's for freak-offs, okay? So, good to know. Kanye West makes surprise appearance at Diddy trial wearing all white. Controversial rapper Kanye West arrived at Diddy's trial on Friday in a black Maybach. What's the Maybach thing? Because yesterday there was arguments over putting like a Maybach in the texts. He arrived in a black Maybach. His wife, Bianca, did not appear to accompany him. She's probably waiting at the hotel, getting the candles and the baby oil ready, if I had to guess. I don't know. I wasn't there. Xavier Donaldson. Ooh, give us the tea. Give us the tea. Update, 11:35 a.m. This is about 8 minutes ago. Inner City Press said Diddy is now seated, surrounded by, and speaking with his lawyers, Mark Agnifilo and Nicole Westmoreland, but also Xavier Donaldson. Xavier Donaldson was down in the lobby waiting when Kanye West, now known as Ye Ye, came in to the court. Xavier Donaldson went down and got him, went down and got Kanye. I bet you they were trying to get Kanye in that room, in that courtroom yesterday. And now the judge is going to have to say, like, is Kanye allowed? Now, when the judge looked at Diddy and said, no one should be attempting to influence the jury, Diddy nodded. He can't stop himself. He's just got to be nodding. Okay, we have a new update from Washington Post. A prosecutor asked the judge to remind Diddy he should not be nodding his head during testimony. Nodding, especially emphatically, is not appropriate, especially with these yes or no questions. But then here come Brian Steele. He stood up. I haven't noticed any inappropriate behavior from my client. Well, maybe you should pay better attention, Brian, or maybe you should get better at telling the truth. He sits at the same table as him. Last week, the judge already sternly rebuked, you bring rebuking back, the defense, because Diddy was just bobbleheading all over the courtroom, looking straight at the jury during cross-examination of a witness who accused him of assault. This time, the judge said the nods are allowed. It's impossible to police every reaction, he said. Not if you have a camera in the courtroom. It wouldn't be impossible then. Okay. Give me a few moments. I'm going to run to the restroom before the jury gets back and we start the next witness. Like, let's say maybe 30 seconds or a minute. Welcome into my world. You're playing my game. Thought that you could come up and they're fitting off of my name. Talking out the side of your neck like you're insane. Cortisol levels to the roof. Inflame. Kids these days so shameless. Selling out real friends for a paycheck. Mama didn't teach them no home training. Wanna be me so bad, but they failing. Step to the plate though. I'll take a challenger. I ain't scared of no low life scavenger. I should warn you though, if you haven't heard, I know Colleen, ukulele ballanger. Shots been fired. Wanna tell that? Say it to my face though. Now behind my back. Won't be long till you share it in the group chat. And when I call you up, you're gonna backtrack. And you should've kept my name out your mouth. That's though how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going. Give me something you can talk about. Welcome into my world. You're playing my game. Thought that you could come up and they're fitting off of my name. Talking out the side of your neck like you're insane. Cortisol levels to the roof. Inflame. Kids these days so shameless. Selling out real friends for a paycheck. Mama didn't teach them no home training. Wanna be me so bad, but they failing. Step to the plate though. I'll take a challenger. I ain't scared of no. Okay, welcome back. New Life Plan said Ye knows a thing or two about Green Hill and TriStar, according to his Instagram. Diddy and Ye, it's a complicated relationship status. Yes, it's very complicated. I don't know what he's doing out here. Thanks for that $4.99 super chat. Maybe they're both about to turn against Robin and Lou. Wouldn't that be good? Thanks so much, Mel2D2, for the $9.99 super chat. Thank you for all you do. Hanging with y'all all day is helping me slog through these wild times and chemo. Oh, no. Love all y'all cousins. Thank you so much for that $9.99. And shout out to you. I don't know if it's missing or if it was in the pew pew. And I don't think they would have that same one from all these years later. They would have got rid of that. So I don't think so, Jennifer. Thank you for the £2. Let's see if they've started back in court yet. I bet you they are cutting up in that overflow room, y'all. I just can't. Somebody asked me, and why aren't you in court? I said, because I don't want to. I don't want to be around all that. They added the actual quote from the judge. There is going to be some amount of reaction to testimony that's given, and it is impossible to police every reaction from every person in this courtroom. Yeah, but what about the reaction from the defendant? Can we have somebody looking at that? The judge did reiterate, though, that efforts to communicate with or influence the jury will not be allowed. Diddy nodded when the judge said he advised no one should be attempting to influence the jury. Okay, we got an update from NBC. Ye has kept quiet lately. He's been keeping a relatively low profile in recent weeks before making his surprise appearance at the courthouse today to show his support for Diddy. Kanye and Diddy want to live in a world where this behavior is legal and allowed. Very strange. Very confusing. There's the picture of him right there. Kanye West arrives to the courthouse for Diddy's trial. He's dressed in all white, wearing sunglasses. He's been in touch with Diddy's family. He nodded yes when a reporter asked him if he was there to support Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs. Trial resuming. All rise. The government now calls Jonathan Perez, former assistant. He has on a brown tie, brown shirt. Where are you from? Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, this person has already pled the Fifth Amendment. He got immunity order. He's not allowed to be prosecuted, but he got to tell the truth. He cannot lie. Washington Post hasn't even reported about the Kanye West stuff. Here was a video. Watch Kanye at Diddy trial. Here you go. Oh, we got to watch an ad first.
Tell them the truth, bro. Tell them the truth, bro. Tell them she was a freak.
These disgusting people that are just like so disgusting out here all day. Okay. Where are you from? Fort Lauderdale. And what was your work? Answer was a personal assistant to Diddy from December 2021 to September 2024. How'd you learn about this job? He said, this is Jonathan Perez, former personal assistant. He said, KK reached out to me, Christina Karam. I had interviewed with her for the same job. So he had interviewed with her before. I don't get exactly what that means. I had interviewed with her for the same job, like to be her assistant. What was your work? Personal assistant to Diddy. For when? From when? December, the very end of 2021, all the way till Diddy was arrested, September 2024. He learned about the job because KK reached out, but he had interviewed with KK for the job. We have a new update. Another one of Diddy's assistants takes the stand. Less than a minute ago, CNN.com. Jonathan Perez, a former personal assistant to Diddy, is on the stand right now. He's going to testify under an immunity order. Outside the presence of the jury, he invoked the Fifth Amendment, triggering an immunity order signed by the judge. It's compelling him to testify. This is the fourth witness to testify under immunity at the trial. Another Combs assistant, George Kaplan, also testified under immunity agreement, as well as Bonna and the former Intercontinental Hotel security guard, Eddie Garcia. Okay, he said, KK told me to go to Miami for a trial. What do you mean? Well, to like do a trial period, to try out the job for a week. And I passed the test, the trial, and I got hired. And what was your job exactly? Like, what did you have to do? He said, I had to make sure Diddy had material for a meeting, buying gifts. And where did you work? Jonathan said, I worked in LA and Miami. So California and Florida. We have another new update from NBC. Former Diddy assistant takes the stand. 35-year-old native of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Brown suit, black shirt, black tie. So I don't know if it's a brown suit, a black suit. They said brown suit, brown shirt, but now we're hearing other things. Okay. Next question. Did KK and Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs appear to be personal friends? This assistant said, well, it would depend on the day. Okay, and you and Mr. Combs? He said, well, for the first 6 months, so like until the middle of 2022, I had very little interaction with him. First, it was actually KK who would give me all the instructions. But then after that, I worked immediately directly for Diddy after 6 months or so. They finally gonna cover it. Oh, it's because it was a different person covering it than Anne Brannigan. Kanye West, aka Ye Ye, arrives at Diddy's ST trial. Yes, Ye. The controversial rapper, formerly known as Kanye West, arrived at Diddy's ST trial on Friday with the defendant's son. Okay, so he arrived with Christian Combs, and apparently he's been making a song with Christian Combs. I mean, there's really nothing. You could put lipstick on a pig all day. There's nothing you can do to make that child musically talented. Now, Quincy, that's probably the one he needs to be collaborating with. That one, I mean, he can at least do a little something here and there. But unfortunately, Christian Combs takes after his dad in many, many, many ways, including having absolutely no musical talent of his own. That's just my opinion. Anyway, he had showed up with Christian Combs. Kanye, dressed in all white, reportedly directed to the courtroom's overflow room. He's publicly advocated for Diddy's release from prison. He's also been in regular contact with Diddy's family and is reportedly collaborating with Christian, who has no musical talent of his own, for an upcoming album. In a lawsuit filed last year, Kanye's former assistant actually accused him of rugging and sexually assaulting her at an event co-hosted by Diddy. Representatives for Kanye, Ye, did not respond to a request for comment at the time. Is this why DJ Academics, for the first time ever, acknowledged that I exist, only to tell me to shut up whenever I said maybe he shouldn't be stating the identity of Jane Doe? Maybe that's why Academics needs to come out, because, you know, he's the one that got the exclusive interview with Kanye West. Maybe he's just like, shut up. Don't talk about me doxing Jane Doe. I'm going to do it if I want to. I don't know. Things to think about. Things to think about. Also, I'm not going to shut up. Nobody can fucking make me shut up. Huh. Ask the last few that tried. Ask the last few that tried. Okay, I'm refreshing. I'm still waiting for something to happen. He's just talking about, the laying the groundwork for like how he started working for Diddy. The many names of Combs. Perez, this is the assistant, worked for Diddy between December 2021 and September when Diddy was arrested. The witness said he at different times addressed Combs as Diddy, P. Diddy, and Mr. C. Love. Kind of like Courtney Love. That's interesting. It's interesting. Just things to think about. Still waiting for inner city press update. Trial resumed. Jury came back in. It's like almost exactly the same time frame as Jane dated Diddy. That's the interesting thing. How did you learn about the job? KK. She told me to go to Miami for a trial. I went and tried out the job for a week. I passed the test. I got hired. And my job was making sure that Diddy had materials for meetings and buying gifts. I worked in LA and Miami. KK and Diddy appeared to be personal friends some days. Some days they acted like they didn't like each other. For the first 6 months, this guy says he had very little interaction with Diddy. It was actually KK who would give him instructions. And then eventually it was from Diddy. With the jury back in the courtroom and Kanye West causing a stir outside, the government has called its next witness. This is Ann Brannigan just now, Washington Post. He is an assistant who worked for Diddy while Diddy was dating Jane, a woman who testified under a pseudonym this week that Diddy ST'd her. She mentioned an assistant named Jonathan several times during her testimony. That's the last thing still, 5 minutes ago, this tweet right here. Did KK and Diddy appear to be personal friends? He said it would depend on the day. And you and Mr. Combs, well, the first 6 months, very little interaction. But then from 2022 to 2024, for like 2 years, he would take direct instruction from Diddy. After a short break, this is The Independent. After a short break, Jonathan Perez, a former personal assistant to Diddy, takes the stand. Thanks so much to Broken Kit Kat for the $4.99 super chat. Happy Friday the 13th, girl. Thank you for the awesome trial coverage. We love you bunches. From Alaska. Mean it. Can you see Russia from there? Just kidding. Woo! One day that joke will get old. Thanks so much for that $4.99 Broken Kit Kat. I have not read Aaliyah's autopsy report, Tiffany. Do you know where I can get it, or I need to request it, or what? Thanks so much for that $2. Thanks so much, Unnamed and Unindicted, for the $2 super chat. Happy Friday, BJ and Cousins. Shout out to the cousins in the chat. Shout out to Hair by Janaea. Bianca is there. Thank you for that $1.99 super chat. So Bianca is there in court. Okay, good to know. Miss Me with the Bull Partner said Kanye now has left. He has left. He's gone. He did not stay. I don't know if it was put out or he just wanted to disrupt the day for a moment, attention seeking as he does. Thanks so much. Oh. Lydia said if KK isn't a co-conspirator, she's a co-defendant with her own trial. Yeah, Marlena Petty, a lot of people are saying Kanye was there and there's pictures. There's pictures of it. Kanye was there. Yay was there. Do I mean Kim K before Ye or post Kanye? I mean, that's what I want to know. Kanye left, everybody said. He's left. Quick visit. He loves attention. He's gone. He left. Probably upset because he couldn't be in the main courtroom. I agree. I think he would wanted to sit in there. KK is so guilty of so many things, Grace Ann, it said. Girl doesn't seem to have a heart. She must be paid well. KK has the tea. Y'all, his attention span is very short. He's tweeted before, I hate when MFers send me a 30-minute long video like, watch this. LOL, hell no. Like, he doesn't have an attention span. He's probably like, oh God, I got to get back to my Freakoff right now. I think him and Diddy might have the same addiction, if you know what I mean. I don't know. I wasn't there. Still nothing. I mean, what are they doing in here? Can we move on? One new update from CNN. Is it? No, wasn't a new update. Oh, yeah. Look, 2 minutes ago, Kanye West has exited the building. He just left the courthouse. He might have gone in there to say hey to Diddy or something. Because remember, Inner City Press reported that Diddy's lawyer, Xavier Donaldson, was down in the lobby when Kanye showed up. He arrived at the courthouse about 40 minutes ago. He was asked if he was there to support Diddy, and he said yes. He just left the courthouse out the front entrance. So he stayed 30 minutes. 1 minute ago, NBC News is giving us more info on Kanye leaving the courthouse. Yay, walked out the front doors, got into a car and drove away. He spent about 40 minutes in the courthouse, but it wasn't immediately clear if he ever made it into the courtroom itself to show support for Diddy. Maybe Inner City Press ran out to go follow Kanye or something. Okay, we got another tweet. When you were employed by Diddy, were you ever aware of the term King Night? Jonathan Perez, the former assistant, said, yes, King Night is whenever Diddy was going to go to a hotel to have a private time with a female. Okay, let me show you a photo. It's under seal. I'll refer to her as Jane. Did you ever see her? Yes. This guy said she was a guest. So I guess this is the same Jane that we saw or heard from rather, and specifically didn't see. I cannot believe Yay showed up, but I actually can. When you were employed by Diddy, were you aware of the term King Night? Yeah, it was whenever Diddy would go to a hotel to have a private time with a female. And then a picture of Jane is shown. And I keep forgetting his first name, Jonathan. Jonathan Perez is like, yep, that was a guest. Sure was. Oof. One minute ago, The Independent said, Kanye West, yay. leaves Diddy trial. After just 40 minutes inside the courthouse, he's left. He got into a car and drove away about noon on Friday. It's unclear if he ever entered the judge's courtroom. He walked out the front doors, got into a car, and was driven away. Just waiting for another update. And it is 12:07. I mean, this guy isn't going to be on the stand for long before they're going to take a lunch break. Okay, honey. They're going after Kanye. They're going after Ye. That's why he's here. He's being investigated. That's my prediction. That's why he's here. It's not because of Diddy. It's not because of Diddy. In the lawsuit about, I think it was, oh man, y'all. I know y'all remember me going over that lawsuit with the Kanye West and his assistant is suing him, Lauren Piscata. She said that Diddy, Ye used to make her go pick up this special honey. Special honey. Did you include honey? This is now being asked at Diddy's trial right now. Look, 3 seconds ago. Did you include honey in your setups for King nights? The prosecutors are saying, all right, Kanye, you want to play? First freaking question out the gate. They wanted him to hear this one. Well, I guess it's not the first question, but it is the first question after it was reported he left. Did you include honey? We haven't heard a peep about honey till this other rapper came up. We have been sitting here every day, all day. For what? 4 or 5 weeks? 6 weeks? Never heard a peep about honey. And now the major thing that Kanye is always asking his assistants to go pick up for him, according to Lauren Piscata's lawsuit, is now getting asked about. Did you ever include honey in your setups for King nights? Yes, I did. Why? Because it increases a man's libido. All right, and what about lights? What lights would he bring in? The assistant said the lights were red. It was red lights. But they could change colors. So it would be blue, could be purple, any color. We would get those at Target, Walgreens, or Amazon. The eyes wide shut of it all, y'all. It was going on the whole time. And y'all called them people conspiracy theorists. Y'all even had me thinking they were for a little minute or two. Now it's like, can you deny that these were highly orchestrated SUL performances for elites to sit and watch? I mean, it's hardly a conspiracy theory anymore, right? At least we know somebody's doing it. Somebody's doing it. Okay, so we're still just waiting for more updates. But this assistant is saying, yeah, I did do the honey. Let me see if I can pull up that lawsuit. I might have it. Okay, I have one called Phillips versus Kanye. Let me see if he was making him get the honey. Pull this one up and see if this one has the honey. Okay, yes. All right, so let me show y'all this. Speaking of honey. This is Lauren Piscata. This is Lauren Piscata. This was filed in October 2024. Piscata versus Kanye West, yay, Yeezy apparel, all that, for all of this stuff. But look, at this. Plaintiff immediately made Kanye West's accountant name withheld. Why? Why are they withholding this accountant's name? That's what I want to know. Who's the accountant? Is it Robin Greenhill? That's what I want to know. Look at this. One of many examples in which Kanye West paid for relations and then proudly boasted about it to plaintiff was July 2022. July 27, 2022, Kanye, aka Ye, requested plaintiff relate to his accountant, who is that? I don't know. Is it Robin? I don't know. That he wanted to send $50,000 each to two women, one of whom was traveling from New York on a flight paid for by Kanye, and he met her later for relations later that night, approximately 7 hours before he was expected to meet with another woman. He was King from New York. He sent the following text, put $50K in whose account, name withheld account, and in name withheld. Plaintiff immediately, Lauren Piscata, this is like an assistant, made the accountant aware of the requests. And so the accountant did exactly as a she accountant. We're narrowing it down, ain't we? And added those two wires of $50,000 for each of the women. So let me get to the honey. He frequently would host sex parties at various luxury hotels, including Nobu, the Beverly Hills Waldorf Astoria, and San Ysidro Ranch. He would frequently come up with stories and schemes to lure plaintiff and other women to these locations. Does this sound familiar? He would contact plaintiff under the guise of needing something specific, as typically a sex honey. See that? Sex honey. The defendant, that's Kanye, demanded only plaintiff was allowed to hand deliver that. To be ready in order to perform, Kanye required this assistant to deliver the honey to hotels. Honey, or sex honey, is an sexual enhancement product that Ye took and required Lauren, the plaintiff, to always have a lot on hand. One such occasion was August 2022. Ye called and texted plaintiff to demand that she drive a total round trip of 4 hours to his hotel to hand deliver the honey. Kanye, aware that he had gone through his entire supply of honey, and Lauren said she could not locate any additional packs or boxes of the honey he was requesting at that particular time. Therefore, the plaintiff would not be able to complete the task of bringing the honey because she didn't have any. He revealed to plaintiff that his premeditated plan was actually just to lure her to the hotel under false pretenses and have the opportunity to take advantage of her, exposing her to that environment in hopes of involving her in his sex party. Prior to this experience, the assistant had told Kanye many times, multiple separate occasions, she absolutely did not want to participate in or be exposed to what Kanye did behind closed doors during his private, intimate, and very personal life. But he openly admitted that his true wish and his plan was to have her drive out there, deliver the honey, and then make her stay once she walked in on the sex party. That would have already been in session. This particular party consisted of males and females. Yeezy employees, Bianca, family members of Kanye West. What? Who? Whomst? Family members of Ye. Who? And women that Kanye was fucking. Okay, so there's all this honey talk. Names of some men and women who would be at the party. She showed up to deliver the honey as one last attempt to persuade her. He said, me, famous guy, famous person at the ranch. She felt like she had to field multiple requests and invitations made by him to participate in his parties. So, I mean, it's just things to think about. Now we have this morning on the stand right now, moments ago, somebody being asked about honey at Diddy's parties. Okay, why are we talking about honey all of a sudden? Why are we talking about honey all of a sudden? Honeygate. Honeygate. I only get my honey from I try to get the local one. All right, let's see. One new update from CNN. Ex-assistant said he would get hours of notice to set up king nights at hotels. Back in the courtroom, Jonathan Perez, personal assistant to Diddy from December 2021 to 2024, he testified that his starting annual salary was $85,000 and later he made $100,000. Wow. Christina Karam, Diddy's chief of staff at the time, was Jonathan Perez's direct supervisor. KK, the chief of staff, and Diddy seemed to have a good working relationship, and some days it seemed like they had a good personal relationship too. His typical hours were 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and another personal assistant would work the night shift. Okay, so he has seemingly tightened up his, he used to have one personal assistant that was on call 24 hours a day. People don't want to work like that no more. Nobody wants to work like that no more. Okay, nobody can do that. Nobody's doing that anymore. No. So now he has a night shift assistant. Or now he's in jail, so who knows. He typically had 3 or 4 personal assistants, he said. KK is the one. Christina Karam is the one who made this assistant aware of king nights. He described them as Diddy going to a hotel to have a private time with a female. Jane, who testified in this trial, or the last witness, 2 witnesses ago, she also dated Diddy from 2021 to 2024. She would accompany Diddy to the hotels for king nights. No, Jane. Jane would accompany him. Yeah, we already heard that testimony. When asked, Perez described Jane as Diddy's, quote, female friend, companion. I'm not sure exactly. And that's the thing. Is it girlfriend? Ex what? I said this yesterday, I think twice. What? Ex, yes, but ex what? That's going to be a big question in this trial. Diddy staff would get anywhere from 2 hours to maybe up to maybe a full day's notice to set up a king night. We have 2 new updates here. Less than a minute ago, king night preparation involved enough supplies for a day without interruption. Jonathan Perez, an assistant, continued to testify about staff members setting up king nights, which he described as Diddy going to a hotel to have private time with a female. Whichever assistant was working in the evening would typically set up the king night. And Jonathan typically worked during the day, so he estimates he only set up about 5 king nights for Diddy. It was a lot of packing materials, he said, making sure that he was going to have everything he would need for 12 to 24 hours without having to bother anybody. He brought food, liquor, music, red lights, protection, astro, and sometimes honey. I think Kanye West is currently under investigation. I do. By the feds. I do. That's what I think. He said the honey enhances a male's libido. Sometimes he also went to SEX stores to purchase adult outfits and high heels. He would pay for the items on his company card, Ricola, or with cash he got from security. Again, security handing out the cash. Then he would describe, a minute ago, CNN.com, he describes what happened typically after a king night. He said he would clean up after these king nights, and the room would be just a bit of a mess and in disarray. Just lots of sheets, towels, oils. He said his main purpose for cleaning up was to make sure no items were left behind. He testified that Diddy and his guest would be tired when he saw them. Diddy's staff would typically arrange for a meal, a massage, or an IV drip, corroborating previous testimony. This would happen after the king nights. We have a new update from Washington Post. 2 updates. And just like that, Ye has left the building. The controversial rapper, formerly and better known as Kanye West, is a vocal supporter of Diddy. He spent about 40 minutes at the courthouse where his friend's trial is taking place. He arrived with Diddy's son, Christian, who has been working on new music. I think he went to sit in front of the jury. I think he did go to influence the jury, and they didn't let him in the courtroom. I think that is why he went. Because yesterday we're talking about a good friend and an iconic rapper. I think this was all set up to get Ye in the courtroom. Renowned musician, reputation disintegrated after he said he was, I'm not even going to get into it. He did not make it into the courtroom. New update from NBC. 3 minutes ago, assistant testifies staff had to prepare for a king night. Diddy's staff would typically get between 2 to 24 hours to prepare for a king night. An evening, their boss would spend in a hotel with a woman, the witness said. Food, a change of clothes, protection, slipperies and slideys, and red lights were among the items commonly packed. Now, no baby oil? He didn't bring the baby oil. But he did bring honey. Back in inner city press. He said, okay, now part 2 thread with comments limited. After many said part 1 thread broken by Ye? ? This is Jonathan Perez on direct examination. He's being asked questions by the government. So, but let me make sure that we didn't miss any other questions from that previous thread. Hold on. Yeah, we did miss some things. So let me go to the bottom of that thread. Ew. Hold on. Let me hide that because I don't want it to show up on my screen and get me kicked off YouTube. Hold on. There's some pictures up here I can't show. I'm trying to block these accounts so that they don't show and I don't get in trouble. Okay. Yeah, wow. The thread did glitch again. Hold on. There was other things and I don't want to miss them. God dang it. Would you often make purchases at SEX stores? God, it's not showing. You see what I mean? Shh. The thread did break. It completely broke. Hold on. I feel like he gets like attacked. Well, let's just read this one. At least we get this one. Would you make purchases at SEX stores? Yes. Would staff do cleanup after King nights? Yes. I did it. It was in disarray. Sheets, towels, oils. We would go to collect everything. And then what would happen after the King night? After that, it would be a meal, IV drip. So the thread is glitching and the thread is broken. So let's start with this new thread. Okay. Mr. Perez, is this your text message? Yep. It's me, KK, and Joey. Who's Joey? KK asked, how's the setup going? How much longer do y'all need? What did you write back? I wrote, I got fruits and shakes. And I will ask Jane about outfits. Then KK asks, is the room done yet? How did you respond? He said, I wrote, room is done. Now going to store. What store were you going to? He said, I was going to the adult store. Okay. And then afterward, KK asks you about cleanup. What is she talking about? Cleanup of what? He said, the room, cleanup of the room. Oh, shh. Beep, 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 beep. Hold on. I have an emergency to report. We're finally talking about someone seeing a Freakoff tape. We have an emergency. Breaking news. Out of nowhere. How did you become aware of this video? A videographer named Brandon showed it to me. And where did you go? Well, I told an iPad. I went into the office. What was on the video? Jane having relations with a black male, and Diddy was watching. Did you tell Diddy? I did. I told him I found it on an iPad. And it probably shouldn't be there. And he seemed surprised. What did KK say? KK said in the future I should bring things like that to her. So then I described it to her. So it's like, don't bring that stuff up to Diddy. Bring that stuff up to me. I am KK. I am the chief of staff. Do not talk to him about those things. Did you ever speak with KK about it again? Yes. KK said she had gotten a call from someone outside the company talking about the video. Did you record that conversation? No. Were you aware it was recorded? Woo! We are getting somewhere, y'all. Just like that, we are flying off to the races. Did you ever talk to KK about this tape again? What was on this tape? So they introduced a Freakoff tape. When did you how did you become aware of this tape? Someone told me that it existed. What's on the tape? Jane having relations with somebody and Diddy is watching. Okay. And what, you told him that? Yeah. And KK, he looked kind of surprised. Then KK told me don't bring that type of stuff up to him no more and only tell her. So then him and KK talked about it. And she said she got a call from someone outside the company talking about the video in some capacity. Who recorded the call? They must have a recording of that call. Are you aware it was recorded? So it was recorded. Okay. So 6 minutes ago, Anne Brannigan at Washington Post, Cassie and Diddy called their group sessions freakoffs. Jane and Diddy called them hotel nights. But according to Jonathan Perez, a former personal assistant of Diddy, some of the staff who helped set the parties up called them king nights. Wild king night. Kings. It is sick that Diddy names his kid King and then he's calling this shit King Night. Like, did he train his kid up to do this? That's what I want to know. Perez testified he and his coworkers had to make sure that Diddy was going to have everything he would need for 12 to 24 hours. The zombification process comes to mind. Without having to bother anybody, including liquor, music, food, drinks, and personal items such as slip and slide, and a special packet of vital honey for enhancing a man's libido. In 2022, the FDA warned that vital honey contained a hidden amount of tadalafil, the active ingredient in a substance for ED, which I think is the blue pill, if you know what I mean. So this tadalafil, now we already saw some of this tadalafil in the raids. Remember that it was like, had like Arabic looking like writing on it. It was like it had this. It said this on it and did it in the raids. To my memory, I mean, this all starts to become a blur, especially in the more depraved stuff that I don't really have any like personal exposure to. Okay. 3 updates from the Independent 5 minutes ago. Assistant's pay and duties. He testified his shift as Diddy's personal assistant was typically 9 in the morning till 9 at night. His salary started at $85,000. It was later raised to $100,000. He reported directly to Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Karam, and described long hours alongside other assistants. The staff were informed of king nights, which involved Diddy going to a hotel to have a private time with a female, and the staff typically had 2 hours to a day's notice to prepare for the nights. King Night Prep, 4 minutes ago, The Independent. Since Perez usually worked during the day, he testified that he only set up about 5 King Nights by himself. The preparations included packing food, liquor, music, red lights, protection, Astro, and sometimes honey. But he did not say baby oil. That's interesting to me. To boost the male libido. He also bought adult outfits and heels using company funds or cash from security. Ricola, because Diddy used his bad boy money to pay for this. That brings it into the business expenses. 3 minutes ago, King Night Prep included a full day's supplies, ex-assistant said. It was a lot of packing materials, making sure that he was going to have everything he would need for 12 to 24 hours without having to bother anybody or anybody to bother him. We have an update from CNN 1 minute ago. Assistant went to get outfits for King Night. Text shows Jonathan Perez, former Diddy assistant, has been testifying about him and other assistants setting up King Nights. The jury has now seen messages that Jonathan Perez sent to Diddy and Jane. August 2023, 3 months before Cassie filed her lawsuit. Text messages. It was a group chat, or it was 2 different text messages, one from Jonathan to Diddy and one from Jonathan to Jane. Look, it says, text messages he sent to Diddy and Jane. August 2023. Quote, just left 2 candles and room phone in front of room door. I'm only 9 minutes away if y'all need anything. This is so sick. Ugh, this is sick. Even if it was totally consensual, it's just like you're bringing everybody in on this. Yeah, let me know if y'all need anything in the middle of your 24-hour session. The jury also saw text messages between KK and Jonathan Perez. Also, there was another assistant, so it's a group chat. They love a group chat. In these messages, Christina Karam asked, is the room done? And Jonathan Perez said he was going to run to the store to get the outfits for Jane. In another conversation seen in court, this time from May 2023, KK, the chief of staff, asked another assistant how cleanup was going. And she said slipped and fell twice. Y'all, how's cleanup going? Slipped and fell twice. Oh, girl, this is a hazardous environment for the employees. They just don't stop. Jesus. A clown show, like a bunch of clowns slipping on banana peels out here. All right. Show the stipulation, Your Honor. So where we left off here on the Inner City Press thread. Did you speak with, so look, no one else has reported this yet. How did you become aware of this video? A videographer named Brandon showed it to me. Where'd you go? I was told an iPad. I went to the office. What was on the video? Jane having relations with someone and Diddy watching. Did you tell Diddy? Yeah, I did. I told him I found it on an iPad and probably it shouldn't be there. He seemed surprised. What did KK say? That in the future I should bring things like that up to her. So I described the video to her. Did you speak with her about this again? Yeah. She said she got a call from someone, quote, outside the company, talking about the video in some capacity. Did you record that conversation? No. Are you aware it was recorded? No. Show the stipulation. This is the seizure of Christina Karam's cell phone. We offered the audio and the transcripts. Boom. Audio played, then stopped. Whose voice did you hear, Mr. Perez? That's KK. Then the audio of KK plays and it says, both time, the only person at the house who knew about it was you. Oh, trouble in paradise between KK and Diddy. What's going on? They're shutting his threads down. Oh my God, they don't want us to see the threads. Oh, what the hell? I'm gonna try to refresh it again. Okay, we got a couple more tweets. Whose voice do you hear? Christina Karam. Both. Okay, here's Christina Karam's voice. I don't know what she sounds like, so I'll just try to sound like somebody from over there in LA or something. I don't know. Both times, the only person at the house who knew about it was you. Where did you find it? Okay, so then you hear Perez. Oh my God. So they're playing this guy's audio recorded phone call. He did not know it was being audio recorded at the time. I don't know if he was later made aware it was recorded. But look, it's like, did you know this conversation was recorded? No. Did you record the conversation? No. Okay, so they had it. Okay, wow. Whoa. I was not expecting this. This is such a out of left field. Hold on. So to set the stage, to set the scene, somebody named Brandon, a videographer, made Jonathan Perez, Diddy's personal assistant, aware of a video, a Freakoff video, a Freakoff tape leaked. And it was Jane. Jane Doe was on it. Diddy was watching, so he must have been in the video. Did you tell Diddy? I told him, but then KK was like, you got to tell me this stuff. Then, did you speak with her about it again? Yes. Unbeknownst to us, while we were reading that tweet 10 minutes ago, the speaking about it again was recorded. KK was recording these phone calls. Or somebody, maybe it was tapped. I don't know who was recording it. But it was a seizure of Christina Karam's cell phone. The audio and the transcripts of the audio from her cell phone. The audio was played. Whose voice did you hear? He said it was KK. KK said both times the only person in the house who knew about it was you. Where did you find it? So then Jonathan Perez starts to speak on the recording. Like on the recorded call, his voice starts to boom through the speakers at the courtroom. Brandon, the shooter. Stop right there. Is that your voice? Yes. He was the videographer. Okay. So then we get back to the recording. Now they're back in recording land and it's played for the juror, pressing play. Brandon, the videographer. We're listening to the transcript from that audio. Brandon, remember that's the videographer, was like, something's on the iPad I shouldn't see. And then KK goes, was anyone else in the theater? Perez said, maybe Gio. Who's Gio? Is that the missing G from the Lil Rod lawsuit? That's what I want to know. We have camera footage of who was in the house. Okay. So I'm going to try to explain to y'all. I'm starting to get a headache from this. I'm going to try to explain to y'all just like the audio recording so you can get some type of idea of what's being said on this audio recording. Okay, there's two people talking in the audio recording. Perez, that is Jonathan Perez, Diddy's assistant, and then KK, who is the chief of staff. This is a recorded conversation. She says, both times, the only person at the house who knew about it was you. Where did you find it? Perez, the assistant, is talking to KK, his boss, and saying, Brandon, the videographer, he was like, something's on the iPad I shouldn't see. So then and KK cuts him off. Was anyone else there in the theater? He said, maybe Gio. Okay. KK goes on. We have camera footage of who was in the house, Jonathan. Jonathan said, I went to P. Diddy about it. He said, you can delete it. He said, okay. Deleted it. And then I told you, KK. And KK goes, well, did you ever hear anyone else in the house talk about it? Did anyone else ever bring this up ever again? He said, no. Busted. Diddy got busted. Yeah, now that thread is broken. This is aggravating. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the audio continues. And it's Jonathan Perez going, Rob talked about it, but he said he didn't want to see it. I don't know who's Rob. Why didn't you want to delete the video? He said, that wasn't my role. Okay. Then there's more audio of this recorded call. Again, a recorded call between Diddy's chief of staff and his personal assistant, one of his 4 or so personal assistants. He said, the personal assistant is saying to KK, the chief of staff, he says, there should be an investigation. Mr. Combs thought he might be compromised in some way. Maybe his phone data. Maybe someone had logged into his phone, hacked, mirrored the iCloud, etc. Okay, let's pull one more up for the jury, please. The prosecutor's still asking the questions. Okay, let's pull up the next one for the jury. Here's another voice note or recording of this guy. So he's sitting on the stand right now listening to his own audio recorded call that he did not know was being recorded at the time. He said, there should be an investigation, KK. Diddy thinks he might be compromised in some way. His phone data. I told Rob I found something private on the iPad and he said he didn't want to know. KK said, was anyone else in the theater except you and Gio? He said, no. Was Chef K in the theater? Yes. Who's Chef K? All right, we got 2 really lengthy updates from CNN. Thank God, because we need some more context on what's going on. 2 minutes ago, CNN.com, assistant texted about getting outfits for King Night hotel setup. They're seeing images, they're seeing messages he sent to Jane August 12th, 2023. Just left 2 candles and room, phone. I'm only 9 minutes away if y'all need anything. The jury also saw text messages between KK and Jonathan Perez about setting up a King Night. In a hotel room. And in the messages, Christina Karam asked if the room was done. Jonathan Perez said he was going to run to the store and get the outfits for Jane. In another conversation seen in court from May 2023, KK asked another assistant how cleanup was going, and the assistant said slipped and fell twice. Remember, Jane, who testified under pseudonym, testified extensively about going with Diddy to what she called hotel nights, which she described as sexual encounters with a male entertainer. Cassie, who dated Diddy, earlier also testified about similar encounters, but she referred to them as freak-offs. 4 minutes ago, Diddy's ex-assistant says staffers found sexually explicit video of Jane on an iPad. Jonathan Perez, a former assistant for Diddy, recounted a time at Diddy's LA home. So that's who we had the guy testifying about that today, what they found at the home and all that. The LA home. When Diddy's videographer found a video of Jane and another man engaging in sexual activity. So when is this? When did that happen? Jane testified for several days during this trial and described the sexual performances known as hotel nights. Perez said the video was on an iPad. And the iPad is the one that was usually used by Diddy's staff. Diddy could be seen in the background. Oh, he was on the Freakoff video. Perez said he took the iPad and he told Diddy and Christina Karam separately about the video that day. He testified that Diddy seemed surprised when he told him about the video. Christina Karam, oh my God, was she holding blackmail material on her own boss? And that's why she was like, you got to tell me about this stuff. Don't bring it up to Diddy, because he was surprised. He testified that Diddy seemed surprised when he told him about the video. Christina Karam told Jonathan Perez that the next time, because she anticipates that maybe he might find something like that again, he should give the footage directly to her. And then she would deal with Combs. About 6 months later, okay, so we get more details here. About 6 months later, Christina Karam questioned Jonathan Perez about the video. and how it was found. She told Perez that she had got a call from someone outside the company talking about the video in some capacity. It must have been Sly. A recording of that conversation was recovered from Karam's phone, which was seized last year. Woo! The assistant on the stand right now, he testified he didn't know he was being recorded at the time, and the jury is now listening to the recording. Let's go to Washington Post. Two minutes ago, Ann Brannigan, Washington Post. The women Diddy brought to Freakoffs, a.k.a. Hotel Nights, a.k.a. King Nights, were referred to by some of his staff as guests. The former Combs assistant, Jonathan Perez, testified Friday. He identified a woman who testified this week under the alias Jane as one of the guests. When asked to elaborate on what that actually meant, he said, a female friend, companion, I'm not sure exactly. The personal assistant said he was employed by Diddy from December 2021 through September 2024. That is the month that Diddy was arrested. Jonathan Perez, 2 minutes ago, Ann Brannigan, said he would use cash or a corporate credit card to buy supplies for Diddy's freak-offs from stores such as Target, CVS, and Amazon, whose founder, Jeff Bezos, owns the newspaper we're reading from right here, the news source, Washington Post. He also would shop at SEX accessory shops. The former Combs assistant said staff would have between 2 hours and a day's notice to set up the SEX parties. And afterward, the room would be, quote, just a bit of a mess and in disarray, like just lots of sheets, towels, oils. Now, this does track with a hotel manager's bleak assessment of Diddy's tidiness earlier in the trial. Perez said his staff, he and the rest of the staff would arrange a good meal, a massage for the tired-looking women involved in the sessions, or an IV drip to put them to sleep. What? Arrange a good meal, a massage for tired-looking women involved in the freak-offs, or an IV drip to put them to sleep. To put them to sleep? Huh. Didn't Kim Porter get IVs on her deathbed? I'm just wondering. He testified he would clean up the messy King Night rooms, which had sheets, towels, and oils left behind. His main job was ensuring nothing was forgotten. After these nights, Diddy and his guests were usually tired, so his staff would arrange meals, massages, or IV drips for them. So we were listening where we left off on Inner City Press. We were listening to the recording from the from the KK, the chief of staff, and Perez, at the time, that one of the personal assistants, and they're talking. So they, what's his name? Jonathan Perez found or was alerted to a tape, a freak-off tape. Diddy's in it. And six months later, so he brings it up to Diddy's attention like that day, and he also brings it to his boss, like his first boss, that's KK, brings it to her attention too. And she's like, don't tell him that next time. Tell me, bring it to me next time. But like 6 months goes by and she brings it up to him again, and because she says somebody had threatened her. Excuse me, she didn't say that. She said somebody had brought it up. Somebody outside the company had brought it up to her. When was this, though? The thread broke right when they were talking about what it was. Okay, I told Mr. Combs all that. So 6 months goes by. He's talking to KK on the phone. It ends up being a recorded phone call, which he did not know. I told Rob, whoever that is, I found something private on the iPad. He said he didn't want to know. KK said, was anyone else in the theater except for you all and Gio? He said, no. But then the prosecutor goes, was Chef K in the theater? Jonathan said, yeah, Chef K was in the theater. And question, why didn't you say Chef K was in the theater? He said, I was just trying to minimize things. Did anyone ever ask you again? Yes. Fahim Muhammad, the head of security and also who was with Michael Jackson the night that he was killed. His death was ruled a homicide. He was with him that night. Fahim also asked me about it. Jonathan said, this is the former personal assistant. He said he asked me what happened when I found the video of Jane. Are you aware of how Fahim knew about the video? No. Wow. How did Fahim know about the video? Wow. This has really turned out to be extremely eventful morning, huh? They're coming back at 1:30. So we only get a 30-minute lunch break today. 3 minutes ago, witness testifies he found S-tape on iPad. He recounted how he found the tape showing Jane engaged with another man as Diddy watched in the background. Oh my God. When was this? The employee, this was on a company iPad. Ricola. He said he immediately brought the issue to Diddy and KK, chief of staff. The judge declared a recess. He is tired. He asked jurors to return before 1:30. Watch, they're going to spend the whole lunch break arguing. All right. Well, since we only have 30 minutes, let me get through these super chats so I can go take my lunch break and come back. Thank you, Renee, for the $2 super chat. Thank you to Stacy. Diddy can't look at jurors to sway them, so he sent yay. It feels like that, Stacy. It does. And I think the judge wasn't having it. Thanks so much for the $1.99. Thank you, Doree Angel. Or is it DeRay? For the $2 super chat. I feel more court jester vibes than King from Yay Yay. Agreed. Thanks so much, LTD, for the $4.99. Cousin, if Astro sponsors him, the tagline should read, Astro, we get you in and out of sticky situations. Thank you for that $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Felicia, for the $1.99 super sticker. Thank you, Kel on Earth, for the $2. The family is that cousin, maybe? I don't know which cousin. Insert name here. Thank you for the $4.99. What's my take on KK not being called as a witness for the prosecutors? You would think that she would be a good witness for how entangled she is. Well, I don't know. I have no idea. However, I can speculate, and I think it's possible that they did want her to come testify. And she said, no, I plead the fifth and I ain't going to answer no questions. And then what ends up happening usually is that they have to say, okay, well, you're being obligated, you forced, but you get immunity. They might not have wanted to give her immunity because she is so entangled. There's other possible reasons. I cannot see how we get through this trial without having her testify unless she's going to be literally named as a co-defendant. And if she is, maybe she never testifies because you cannot be compelled to testify against yourself. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Sheena, for the $4.99. The truth is, Channel did a video yesterday about Bieber's church. They mentioned Lou Taylor. Shout out to them. Thank you for that $1.99. Thank you, Kate, for the $1.99 super chat. Google Mad Honey from Greece and Nepal. I don't think it's the same honey. This is the pterodifidal one or whatever. I don't think it's the same one. Thank you, Kate, for the $1.99. But maybe it is. Maybe it is Mad Honey. Thank you for that $1.99. Wonder if KK is about to flip. QB said, I do too. Thank you for that $1.99 pound. Thank you, New Life Plan, for the $9.99. If only there was a party named that was recently publicly named by an SEC guard for mirroring devices or recording someone like maybe Britney Spears in her bedroom's convo without her knowledge. Are they never going to investigate into Britney Spears and what they did to her? That's what I want to know. Thank you so much for the $9.99. And said, wait, hold on. Michael Jackson died from the doctor giving him substances used in surgery to go to sleep. Yep. And that comes into the zombification too. The ones who know. I know there's a small handful of y'all in here who are following exactly along every time I say this about the zombification. And some of y'all are like, please get to the point and explain what it is. But yeah, exactly. I think that they've been doing this, and it is not like, this is documented. There's books about it. This is ancient culture, y'all. This isn't something that it's like someone just made up. It's not like, oh, the elites are having parties. It's like, no. Turning someone into a zombie is like from a very specific type of culture and almost like spiritual practice. And it involves sedation to the point that you're almost dead. And sometimes they accidentally do it wrong and someone dies. Okay. So I listen, Conrad Murray was the one I think that went down for that. Thank you for that $4.99. Anyway, I'm going to run. I'll be back around 1:30, 1:40-ish. And I'll see y'all then. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, Mina K. Bye. Oh, neither are opinions, girl. This is just all opinions. I'm not in that courtroom. Love you, Mina K. Bye.